welcome back to the Future Games, our third day of game action here. We've got a can't-miss watch party for you. 4 games, Florida versus Tennessee, Texas North versus Texas South, NorCal versus SoCal, and Wisconsin versus Illinois, and Indiana, Missouri. Actually, that's more than 4 games. I got to get my math in line here. It's a Champions Weekend as well here across campus, the Geo Services Futures Weekend to be exact, and at the center of it all is our parade of the class of 2027 and the culmination for so many players of these careers and the opportunities that lie ahead with that August 1st recruiting window opening. I'm Cory McCartney, now joined here in studio by Prep Baseball California State Director Les Lukach. This is our California tourism baseball side of it when you come in here every day. So I appreciate the time, Les, and I know exciting for you. Two teams at the feature game level this time around. Added work, but I'm sure some added excitement.
No, it's fantastic. We've pushed really hard to get some more opportunity for players from California, and when they told us that we were going to have 2 teams, I was thrilled. I mean, yes, added work, but I mean, that's all part of it. I mean, it's all about the opportunity for the players. And, you know, we have a full team of 25 from Northern California, a full team of 25 from Southern California. So whereas in the past we had 1 team, you know, now we have 2, and it's been great. I mean, we've taken some lumps here. Those Texas boys are no joke. But, you know, it's been, from an exposure standpoint for these players, it's been awesome.
How much more challenging was it to put together when you have 2 teams as opposed to just 1, when before you might have said, okay, this is where we got to draw the line, but now that just gets a little bit more complicated?
You know, you would think that it's harder, but it was actually easier, right? Because you're trying to say, okay, you know, we're going to take 7 or 8 guys from Northern California just based on the geographic numbers, you know, and maybe 15 guys from Southern California, whereas now it's like, okay, we can take 25 from here and 25 from here. So it's been a little easier. Hank LaFord, who's up in Northern California for us, has done a phenomenal job identifying those players, running the events, and getting those players here. And then, you know, with Southern California, it just provides more opportunity for those guys too. And I'll tell you what, the biggest thing that we've seen is just kind of the vibe in the dugout, right? Like these kids all know each other, whereas in the past you had a team of half kids from Northern California, you know, half from Southern California. It's like, okay, get to know each other the first couple games. But here, from right out the gate, it's just been awesome.
That's great. Yeah, Sean Duncan was telling me you guys always think you're the kings of baseball anyway, so now you get an opportunity to show it with even more players here.
Well, we don't think it.
Okay.
I think the MLB draft numbers kind of
bear
that,
go.
bear
Look
that,
at that
out, and you know, it's just awesome. Like we're spoiled, right? And I say it all the time, particularly in Southern California, where guys seem to play all year round.
Yep.
And, you know, they focus on baseball pretty early in their careers, and you know, Northern California is a little bit different. Guys play multiple sports, but we're spoiled. You know, we have some great coaches out there on the high school level, on the club level, that really get these guys ready to, you know, progress in their careers.
And obviously the MLB draft just happened, and you guys were well represented in that. Of course, Seth Hernandez was the guy everyone kind of had their eye on in that one, and it ended up being a huge first round for your state.
It was awesome, right? I mean, we had 4 All-Americans go from California last year in the top 50 picks, and I mean, that's just incredible, right? And you know, I look back at the All-American game last year when I was on the mic with you and Billy hit that bomb, right? I mean, that was a pretty neat moment for me to experience, be on the mic with him hitting that homer. But yeah, those guys, I mean, special group of players, special group of young men. You know, and don't forget Braden Jackson, who is going to go to Oregon and probably leave there a top 2 or 3 round pick himself.
So I want to talk a little bit about the pitchers that you had rolled out the last couple of days. We saw some big-time arms. I had Davis Wilson in here. He was up to 93 over his 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. I mean, you guys have Mariano Gonzalez gets up to 94, Beckett Berg up to 92. Everybody, I mean, it's funny. When I had Sean in here yesterday, he used to make the quip that every time a guy hit 90, a bell would ring here at Future Games. But now I feel like it would just be like nonstop.
Right.
And you guys had a whole lot of those arms rolled out the last couple of days.
Davis Wilson, I'll start with him. He was, you know, had a phenomenal year for Clovis North this past spring, and you know, we worked pretty hard to get him to our Future Games tryouts that we run out in California, and he came out and, you know, he shoved there. I mean, I want to say he struck out 4 of the 5 batters that he faced there. And he was pretty excited to come out here, and I think the juices were flowing. And you know, when I told him pregame, I said, hey, Texas is throwing a guy that's going to be 92, 95. You know, he looked at me right dead in the eye, and he's like, I got this, coach. And I was at ease at that point, right? And he really, really showed some good stuff, not just the velocity, but his stuff was really good. And, then later that night, or to follow him up was Mariano, who he scuffled a little bit with his command, but, when you touch a 94.7, I think it was, or 94.5, that's going to catch people's attention.
Yeah.
And he certainly got a lot of coaches' attention. Bigger body, bigger, thicker lower half. And, you mentioned Beckett Berg. He was as good as I've seen him. He was a JFG starter for us 2 years ago here. And after he left that event as an incoming freshman, he said, hey, I want to come back in 2 years. And sure enough, he put in the work and had a good spring. And then at the tryout was lights out. So he was a no-brainer to come out and throw under the lights against Texas.
And you guys saw some big strikeout numbers too. AJ Lasota gets 4 Ks. Mentioned Gonzalez, he had 4. Sam Clapp 4 Ks as well. So not just that velo. These guys are showing some swing and miss.
Yeah, Lasota was really good, up to 92, I believe he was, and he mixes in a really sharp slider and a really good changeup as well. Smaller body, probably about hovering right around that 6-foot frame. But he's another guy who almost came to JFG's with us a couple of years ago, but has continued to develop and get better and better as he's matriculated through high school. And so I was really excited to see what he put out there. He scuffled a little bit in the first inning, but he got out of a jam with runners on second and third with 1 out. He only gave up 1 run, kept us in that game. And so I think he showed a lot of poise and a lot of moxie to get out of that. And then he came out in the second inning and was just lights out.
3 players in this SoCal team are ranked in the top 13 in your state. Parker Leoff, start off with him, the 5th-ranked player in the state, 12th-ranked shortstop in the nation, 5'11", 175-pounder out of Huntington Beach. This bat from the left side, we saw a little bit yesterday, and this is a guy who, he's used to performing in front of a lot of scouts being in that program. This didn't seem to faze him at all. No,
not at all. He's a 15U USA alum as well last year, and so the left-handed bat just continues to develop. I mean, that's kind of the theme with all these guys. But, like you said, you're not scared of the bright lights. He's facing 94, 95 that first night, takes a barrel to the left center field for a base hit. And, he doesn't try to do too much, stays within himself. And he's a great clubhouse guy. I mean, he's the guy that's at the door of the dugout, cheering on his teammates, encouraging everybody. Just an outstanding kid, but a heck of a ball player, too. He's might be next in line, those SoCal shortstops that we always talk about. So he's a really good one.
Ira Rootman out of Harvard Westlake. An interesting story there. You obviously had a guy who was here last year at the feature games. That's going to be a story that I know that we're going to be telling that much going forward as guys making multiple appearances here, and Ira may be one of the last ones to do it.
Yeah, a lot like the previous player I just mentioned, Berg. Rootman, as soon as we finished up last year, he's like, I'm going to do everything I can to get back here next year. And all he did was go out and, hit near 400 in the second best league in California. And, I mean, he has 4 barrels of over 100 miles an hour exit velos this week. And, he has 1 base hit. He got 1 base hit yesterday that was 94 off the bat, and guys were giving him grief in the dugout. Like, come on, man, what are you doing, Rudy? But first pitch against Texas, he hit a line drive right at the right fielder that was 102 off the bat. And, I told him, hey, we're going to face again 92, 96 with these guys. Like, Coach, I'm not scared. And that's why you're batting leadoff, Rudy. He really, really talented player. Has some similarities, and I'm not putting the comp on him, but he has some similarities to Pete Crow Armstrong when he was going into his junior year. He plays kind of with that same style. He can run a bit, right? 6'5" runner. Just another great kid.
It's like our camera actually froze in that NorCal-SoCal game. I'm sure we'll get things back on track there momentarily. It's funny how PCAs become like, so a lot of the kids would talk about when I'd ask them, guys that you were kind of looking towards and modeling your game after. Bryce Harper was a really popular answer. PCA's become that new one just with the energy he plays with and the enthusiasm and not being the biggest guy in the world, too. Right. There's a lot of players that are looking towards him and be like, I want to play like that.
And he's been like that since his freshman year. I mean, he stepped foot on campus his freshman year at Harvard Westlake. They threw him in center field as a 14-year-old freshman and just not scared of the bright lights, right? A ton of confidence, obviously, as you can see when he talks. But he's just one of those players that's incredibly confident in his abilities. And he's just an awesome kid, too.
We switched over just momentarily as we get that camera back on track. Cole Munyon, also another one of your top guys here on the SoCal team, 13th ranked player in California, 5th ranked shortstop in the state. When you have so many guys, and obviously, most coaches are going to take their best athlete. We're throwing that guy at shortstop. We'll let things get figured out. When you come into this environment and you've got so many guys who are top-flight shortstops, how do you balance that playing time at that premium position?
That's a big challenge. We have Elijah Mason, who's our third baseman outfielder, who's our hottest hitter so far this week, and we typically, kind of rotate them third, short, second to get them their innings defensively. But I said, you know what, this year we're going to put Mace over there at third and leave him there. And so we just kind of switch them second and short. So, let them get their feel in the middle infield. And all four of those guys have done great. Joe Flores and Zion Martinez are two outstanding players in their own rights. And they've had really good weeks both defensively and offensively. But, just kind of rotating them through the middle. I think the biggest thing was going to 8 innings this year has really helped with that, right? So everybody gets an even amount of innings every game, more at-bats, and I think that was probably the best move that we've made here with the future games was going to those 8-inning games because it allows for more playing time and it allows for more at-bats. And here's Mason here, and this kid has just been on fire, 4 for 5 with 2 doubles and 2 singles so far this week, and ran a 6'4" at our tryout in turf shoes on turf. Just a freak athlete, man. This kid can seemingly do it all.
Top-ranked third baseman in California, runs a 6.660, got exit velos north of 90 miles an hour. When you look at a guy that's 6'3", 170 pounds, and do you look at a frame like that and say, okay, this is what I project he could being in 3 or 4 years?
Absolutely. I mean, when you combine the frame with the athleticism, and it's easy to dream that he's going to put on 20, 25 pounds before it's all said and done. It just gets you really, really excited. Then you see the way he swings the bat. I mean, some of the exit velos at our tryout, he went double in left center field, triple to right center field, and then a triple down the right field line in the tryout. And he was a late add to our tryout roster. Surprisingly enough, I got a phone. There's another.
Yeah,
knock
ropes
for
that
him.
95.6 into the right corner, and he's taking off. It's going to hold there. That's going to. That went foul.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Thought we were going to have some extra base magic out of his hands. See if he can replicate that as he goes back to the box.
Yeah, and you see there, the guy putting the bat on the plate there, Jake Kim. Is just, he's a guy that maybe
he's
doesn't.
Given up. He gave up. He tried.
He might not have a position either first base or outfield, but all he does is hit. He hit 7 bombs for Harvard Westlake this year as a sophomore, which is a school record for them.
Comes a 2-1 here to Mason. See if he can replicate that. Punched one into the right corner, but it went foul. He's back on this one. Pops out of nearly the exact same spot. Right fielder camps underneath it, and he's going to catch that for the inning out. Let's flip to the NorCal side real quick. We talked about Davis Wilson a little bit. Riley Jackson, 26th ranked player in the state. Mariano Gonzalez, we already talked about him a little bit as well. When you were building out that NorCal roster, obviously we talk about SoCal, and it's easy to get caught up in all these schools. What did this provide these NorCal guys in terms of the opportunity to come out and here kind of be their own standalone product?
Well, I go back to the opportunity, right? Like Riley Jackson, yes, he's a pretty highly ranked shortstop for us. I think he's 10th shortstop overall for us in the state at a Half Moon Bay, which is a smaller school there on the coast. But I mean, this is a guy that quite honestly maybe doesn't make it if we have a combined team. So you provide that opportunity for having a team from NorCal, and then now you got a guy like Riley, making the team. I see your notes here. Stevie Wellens is one of my favorite players on that NorCal team. Doesn't say a whole lot, goes about his business. Really strong frame. Just gets the job done and has done that for us here this week so far. And I just think it's the opportunity to expose more guys to this environment, right? Some of those guys showed up like, oh my gosh, there's 400 plus college coaches here, right? But for some of these guys, it's just like tunnel vision, right? And they're just locked in on what they're trying to do. And we told them, listen, yes, it's nice to win. You feel good about it, but it's not about winning. Need you guys to be a little bit selfish here, right? And it kind of goes against what you would want on a high school team, for example, but this is about you seizing the opportunity that's presented to you, and we've been lucky enough here with both of these teams that a lot of these guys have done that.
NorCal's got 7 guys on their team who are unranked players in the state, and I bring that up because I think we always get caught up when we start looking at these future games rosters and we're like, oh, they brought the number 1, 2, and 3 player in their state. They brought this, and we've already kind of talked about these rankings a little bit. How much pride do you take in bringing a kid here we can bring up Sam Clapp in particular, goes 2 innings, 4 Ks, came into this event unranked in the state, but then you're showing coaches a guy maybe they weren't aware of, and hope that everyone's going to be talking about him when they leave.
Well, in the case of Clapp, I mean, he plays at a stellar program, Newport Harbor down in SoCal, and they have a really deep pitching staff this year, and so he didn't get a lot of innings. And you know, he requested an invitation to the tryout, did a little research on him, called his coach, and he's like, this kid's pretty good. He's going to be one of our guys next year. Brought him out to the tryout, was up to 89 there, you know, struck out 4 or 5 batters, you know, had a really good slider. And I'm like, well, that's going to play. College coaches need to see this. You know, so there's some pride in kind of, you know, for lack of better terms, discovering these guys. You know, but again, I go back to providing that opportunity, because this is a kid who's worked really hard, according to his coach, you know, to put himself in a position where he's going to be a varsity starter next year for them as a junior, and give him the opportunity to come out here and show off all that hard work here in front of, you know, 400 plus college coaches.
What year Future Games is this for you?
This is number 7.
Number 7?
Yeah.
So certainly you've watched this event become something it certainly wasn't at the beginning. Now we've got the feature games, the senior feature games. We've taken away a year with the juniors. There's a whole nother opportunity now for those older guys, and you know, coaches, maybe a different kind of coach that was here for the beginning of it, that, you know, certainly we've seen so many changes within the recruiting landscape. What's been your favorite thing in watching this event grow over the last few years?
I think the addition of the senior future games is my favorite thing. Yes, it adds a little more work on our plate, but again, the opportunity for those seniors. We had a team from the West Coast with Nevada and the PNW this year. We had 25 players. We brought 17 from California. Wow. And, you know, just talking to coaches after, like, hey, that guy's good. That guy's going to get a call from me. Can you make sure he answers his phone? So I think, you know, the addition of the senior future games is one of my favorite things here. Like, this event for the future games itself, I mean, there's no better event in the country. But the addition now of the senior future games and giving opportunity to those guys, particularly the way the recruiting landscape is, right? I mean, you have schools, for example, like a Texas State, who is now going into the Pac-12 next in 2027. You know, they would never recruit a California guy, but they were at every one of our games for the senior games. You know, and it's like, hey, we're coming to California in the Pac-12. We're going to play there a couple times every year. We need some California players, right? And so that's exciting, right? And it just opens up an opportunity for these players to think about, okay, I don't need to stay on the West Coast to go play really good Division I college baseball. So I think the advent of the senior future games is probably my favorite thing.
I couldn't help myself putting Sean Duncan on the spot when I had him here yesterday, but we've already seen a year removed from the juniors. I wondered, are we going to get to the point where maybe we don't have juniors and every state has their own senior team? Because I think the way everything's changed, there's enough talent out there now to field those teams.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you put him on the spot and said that, because I've been vying for my own California team for the senior future games for, you know, about 12 months. You know, just because we're a huge state, right? Obviously, and we have a ton of players that play baseball in California, and I think if we were able to bring our own team, it just, that camaraderie, right? Though this year, excuse me. Though this year, it was really good in the dugout. I mean, we had the bulk of the players, but the players from the PNW and Nevada, I mean, they assimilated themselves with those guys really easily. So I think it's just, I think we'll get to that point. You know, you don't want to damage the junior future games, because that's a really good event as well for those young guys to kind of get a taste of, hey, this is what's ahead of you. You know, there's college coaches over on those fields too. I mean, they're just kind of keeping an eye. The good ones are keeping an eye on what's happening over there, right?
Well, you're also flipping it a week from now comes the super sophomore game. So it's like there's obviously no rest for the weary here, but a different kind of event, one that, you know, you're right. I mean, there's going to be college coaches watching that, but certainly you have players that maybe you would have invited out of that sophomore class that now they have, when we go back to opportunity, they have that chance to show out, and you're providing that chance for these guys who the clock's ticking a little bit faster in their recruiting window.
Right. So we're running a West Coast super sophomore games at the University of Oregon coming up in September, and so again, like
ours is next weekend.
Yeah. So it's like, how do we provide an opportunity for those guys that aren't able to come to the future games this year, right? And so, you know, we anticipate a good group of coaches to show up to that as well, and you know, we're kind of doing a whole West Coast deal. So it'll be a lot of fun. And I think, again, it's just about providing opportunity for these players to be seen in front of these college coaches.
When you look back at the feature games, and we talked about guys like Pete Crow Armstrong coming from your neck of the woods. Who's surprised you with the way that they've come out of this event? And guys, when you kind of take that big step back and be like, man, I thought I saw something in him, but I don't know that I saw that.
Man, there's quite a few guys that we've had from California that kind of fit that bill. We brought a player last year named Dustin Dunwoody, a right-handed pitcher that not a lot of people knew about. Credit to my guy Stephen Hardesty, who kind of found him at a smaller school in Ventura County, and he came out here and was 88 to 90, and he's now made the jump to where he's 90 to 93.
Wow!
And he just continues to get bigger and stronger and better, and so like that's a recent guy, but I go back several years ago. We had a team with Derek Curiel, with Will Gasparino.
Right.
I mean, we had some really good players on that team. But on that team was also a guy by the name of Casey Borba, who was a good hitter, good player. Now he's going to be a 3-year starter over at Texas, and he'll probably hear his name called pretty early in the draft next year as well. So that's one of those guys that I think needed a little more seasoning, and he certainly got that there at Orange Lutheran. But then also he continues to get better there at Texas.
So we've talked about your pitchers who we've already seen in action. Noah Golob on the mound right now for Miracosta High School. We got him with a fastball on 87. Also has that curveball changeup. What did you like about this arm in particular and putting him on the roster?
He's a big body. Played on a team that had a 25-game win streak this year, and he played a large part in that. Coached by Andy Diver there at Miracosta High School, and it's a quality program. So it's, in Southern California, again, I go back to, we're pretty spoiled where we don't have a whole lot of teams. We have programs where these guys just kind of reload, and coaches that have been coaching for a long, long time that played at a very high level. That's one of them, Miracosta. When Miracosta is good, and they're generally always good, they usually have 2 or 3 frontline arms. They usually have 2 or 3 middle infielders that can really play, and then they usually have a couple of outfielders that can really play. And Noah played a big role in their success this year. Then again, he came to our tryout and again struck out 4 or 5 batters, was up to 88, and he's got a really good slider that we saw here a couple times, and it's just one of those guys like, okay, that's pretty good. We need to get him out there.
Yeah, you guys in Texas both did the Future Games trials events this year. How did that change the dynamic of putting the team together? When I talk to guys locally here like Hudson Graham and Ian Smith, certainly here at Lake Point Sports, we have so many of the guys in this part of the country are coming here, and it almost makes their job so much easier. But for you guys with having such a gigantic state to have to cover, how key is an event like that?
Oh, it's awesome. So we started our Future Games tryout 2 years ago, 3. This was the 3rd year.
Okay.
And we had the most tryouts that we've had this year. The first year we had about 100 kids try out for the Future Games team. This year we had over 250.
Wow.
So I think the recognition of what this event is has grown in California. But also I think, it's just, I keep going back to opportunity, right? It's an opportunity for us to see some of those high-level players, right? So we had 5 tryouts. We mixed in some seniors in that for the Senior Future Games as well. But we ran 2 in Northern California, 3 in Southern California. And they're great events. We do a showcase. We do a game after that. We want to see these guys live in person. Maybe there's a guy that comes to those that we didn't get to see in the spring. So we want to see them in a game-like setting. And so that tryout has been monumental for us in terms of identifying the right players to bring out here. And one of the things that I tell the guys before that event usually is, listen, if you're a really good player and not a really good person, there's chances that you're not going to make this team, right? Because, we spend a lot of time with these guys out here, right? You're with them, a good chunk of the day out here. You want to get to know them. You want to support them, and so, that plays a big role for us. And like I said, we had 250 players to choose from for 50 spots, basically, right? And so, I'm not a big math guy, but I think that's about 20%, right?
Yeah.
And so, 20% of those guys are making the team, where 80% of those guys just thanks for coming, but the opportunity is just not there this year for you.
So when I had Shooter Hunt yesterday, he said he doesn't know it yet, but Davis Wilson's going to get an invitation to the Prep Baseball All-American game in Miami in September. I know you've taken a lot of pride in the number of guys that you've taken on to that event the last 2 years, and this first 2 years of it. Certainly, I would have the anticipation California's going to be highly represented as well.
Yeah, I think we have two 27s already committed to the game. In our number 1, number 2, Dylan Seward and Jared Grinlinger.
Dylan Seward, when you saw the 60 time on him for the first time, did you wonder if that was real? Because then when Shooter and I were looking at it, he was just dumbfounded to see that number.
So we saw Suey at an event as an 8th grader, and the 60 time wasn't far off of that.
Yeah.
And Suey's grown about 3 or 4 inches since then, and he's added about 25 pounds since then. And the ability at shortstop's always been there, but now we're starting to see some over the fence power with him. But it was pretty funny because at that pro case, there was a lot of guys that were trying to making wagers as to who's going to run the best time, and nobody wanted to run before Suey, and then Suey went out and he ran that 6:18 there at Pepperdine, and nobody wanted to run after him after that.
Is that the fastest player in the country, you think?
He's certainly the fastest player in California that I've seen. Yeah. I don't know about the country, but
it's got to be pretty close.
I would imagine it's pretty close.
EJ Booth, that's down in Mississippi, is pretty quick. We've got Trevor Condon here locally, who's a Tennessee commit. I know those guys I don't know that I've seen that number out of them, though.
It was, and if you watch the video, it doesn't look like there's a lot of effort in that either, which is pretty impressive, which was, to me, the most impressive thing. I mean, the fact that he's running a 6:18 and it looks like he's just, not putting everything into it. But the thing that really impressed me is when he finished, he wasn't huffing and puffing. He was just kind of like, okay, what's next, right? But he's a special talent.
Can't wait to see what he does when we get the workout day indoors in Miami in September to see what he's going to do on that turf.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I think, with him and Grinlinger is a high upside guy too, both with the bat and on the mound. Then obviously Davis Wilson, I think, is once he receives that invitation, is going to be, over the moon thrilled. But I'm excited to see him on the mound challenging some hitters too.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I think the second time around at Miami, because as Sean was also speaking with yesterday, I mean, the Marlins pretty much just laid out the red carpet.
Yes.
And Milwaukee was fun, but the workout day stuff, being at that minor league park away from downtown, away from, from American Family Field was a different atmosphere. But being able to just kind of localize everything and do it at the Marlins Stadium, I think just made it feel like that much bigger of an event for the players.
Oh, and every player that went from California last year that I talked to said exactly that, right? Like this was, because all those guys went the year before.
Yep.
So just asking them the difference and what they thought, and they loved it. They loved the fact that they got to work out on a big league field. One of them, Brady Ebel, that might be his future home. Let's hope. But the fact that they were able to do the work out there and then play the game there, familiarize themselves with the setting, I think that elevated the quality of play too.
Sebastian Schaefer's on the mound now for NorCal going against Jake Kim. You talked about Jake Kim a little bit earlier out of Harvard Westlake. So it's interesting you talked about programs that reload. And I love having this conversation with a player who is at a program like that, because I think you can have that as he ropes that 97.4 off his bat that's on its way into right field. Is that going to clear the wall?
Sure
absolutely. He goes backtrack gone, and just like that, Jake Kim, you must be magic for these guys.
I guess.
Goes absolutely bonkers on that one, 97.4 over the right field fence, and he's got SoCal on the board here against NorCal in the bottom of the second inning with an absolute bomb.
Another guy, that's his 5th hit this week. I mean, 5 for 6, and he's just, I'm telling you, he may not have a position. His position is in the batter's box, right? I mean, because all he does is hit, and I mean, as we saw there, I mean, that ball was rocketed out there.
So he kind of takes me into this conversation, because the guys at programs like that, and I love that kind of iron sharpens iron mentality. Mm-hmm. When you're the big fish of the small pond, you can only grow at your own rate, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're in a program like Harvard Westlake and you look at the wall and you see Freed and Giolito and and on and on and on,
yeah.
It's almost like you're trying to keep up.
Right, and Flaherty and PCA now, and and they've got a few more coming. I think potentially with Rootman, and they're such an academic school, so they have some challenges in terms of getting players in academically, because any coach on that campus will tell you, like, academics are first here. It's not just something that we say like a lot of schools do, but academics are definitely first there. But there's been a culture. So Matt Lukach was the head coach there for a long time. His top assistant, Jared Halpert, takes over. So it's the same culture. And they get a reputation of, it's, the private school, they're kind of soft, but they're a lot like some of these inner city schools. Like, they'll punch you in the mouth if they have to, and they get after it at Harvard Westlake. But to your point, I think it's understood now when you come in. This is the way we do it. We have developed these guys, and you're seeing them on the highest level. If that's where you want to go, you're going to fall in line, and then you're going to become those leaders that gets those younger guys to follow the line.
But are you more in line to follow a guy and have maybe a keener eye on a player like that as opposed to somebody who's maybe at a smaller school? Maybe the guy's putting up big numbers, but he's not seeing the kind of consistent opponents that a player like a Harvard Westlake is?
Well, I think that's where the scouting eye comes in, right? Because when you see a guy that's at a lower level program, maybe not the best league, then you're starting to look at tools versus results, right? I mean, okay, what's his run tool like? Like, can he defend if he's a shortstop? Can he throw? Can he hit? So you start to look at the tools and really dive into evaluating the tools, and then if you're good, they'll find you, right?
Sure.
I mean, ultimately is what it comes down to. But, I mean, you really have to bear down on those guys, see them multiple times, 4, 5, 6 times over the spring, maybe get their invitation out to the future games tryout versus a guy at Harvard Westlake who is going to face the best of the best in Southern California. They went out to Texas this year and played in a tournament where they played South Lake Carroll and their guy that was throwing 95. And Kirchner yesterday, who threw for us yesterday, he ended up getting the win, and he's 84, 87, but he can spot his fastball, he can throw his slider, he can throw a changeup, he's got a splitter, and he just knows how to pitch, and he ended up getting the win in that game versus a guy that's throwing 95. And then again, you go back to, okay, Rootman, Kim, who we just saw, like, these guys see 92, 94, 95 all the time in Southern California, so it's nothing new for those guys, right? So, when you see those guys at the smaller program, it just takes a lot more evaluation, I think. And that's where you kind of rely on those abilities internally to evaluate those guys versus, a guy at Harvard Westlake who, puts up big numbers. Okay, that guy's really good because who they're playing.
I'm not trying to say guys are getting necessarily lost in the shuffle, but it's probably easier to get lost in the shuffle then because it does take so much more for you guys in a talent-rich area to try to make sure you get eyes on all these guys.
And I think ultimately it comes down to those relationships with coaches, with club coaches,
And it makes your showcase environment and opportunities that much more important for these guys.
Right, absolutely, right. And so it's, come out, get your data, get your video, get your metrics, get your profile, completely filled out, and and let's go with it looks like a back pick gone awry there. And now you have kind of your resume, right, to start sending that out to coaches. Like, hey, yes, I may play at a small school, but you know what? I ran a 6.6 at Les's event, and I had 98-mile-an-hour exit velos, and I went 2 for 3 in the game at that event, and against quality arms. And so I think that's really beneficial, and it really helps those players.
We're moving along with SoCal leading 1-0 over NorCal. Texas, I believe that's Texas. It just says Texas Dash, so we got to actually look here to see who Texas North is the home team, so they're leading 3-1 Wisconsin in the feature game of the day, up 4-0 over Illinois in that one. Les Lukach joining me here in studio. Always appreciate Les stopping by. You're such a pro with this stuff. You make it so easy on me, which I always appreciate.
No, man, this is one of my favorite things here. I love doing this. This is what I got in here last year with you, got on the All-American game with you, and now we're back here. So this is fun. I mean, talking about players is the best part of this job, right? I mean, we spend so much time watching these guys, and during the high school season, during the fall ball season, during the scout ball season out in California, it's great to be able to talk about them.
Got Kemuel Zhang at the plate right now for SoCal, going off against Schaefer. Swings through that one, going down on strikes.
Kimwell will throw the 8th inning here for NorCal. He'll be probably 84 to 87. He's got a wicked splitter that is probably his best pitch, and a really good changeup as well. He's also an outfielder, middle infielder type for his high school. Just a really strong player.
Ira Rootman's going to step in here. We've talked a lot about Harvard-Westlake already, and we're going to get another chance to as the 11th ranked player in California. 27 steps in here, 6'2", 176-pounder.
The thing that I really, really like about Rootman is the low strikeout numbers. And, to steal a line from Shooter Hunt, he plays with a really low pulse, never gets too high, doesn't get too low.
Yeah, he rips that 90.8 off his bat. That's heading into left field. It's going to be hauled in. That's going to be an inning-ending out. But SoCal has a 1-0 lead over NorCal in that matchup of California schools. Les, I appreciate you stopping by, man. I'm going to get you out of here, let you get back to your guys. But thank you so much. I have a chance. I'm probably going to see you in September in Miami.
Well, we'll see each other in Miami, and
right.
hope to do this again then.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Cory.
You're welcome. We're going to take a break here in studio. We'll be back with more from our watch party.
Awesome.
All right.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
At Lake Point for the Prep Baseball Future Games, Shooter Hunt joining me now. Vice President of Scouting. Shooter, what goes into your day-to-day here?
Not too much because we have so much help. All of our scouting directors and our boots on the ground staff do so much that it allows me to kind of dance around and run around kind of with my head chopped off to see as many good players as there are here. It's almost overwhelming.
So take me into the mind of scouting. What are you looking for on the field throughout the various drills and various fields?
I think a lot of the beginning is just finding good athletes who move well, guys who are aggressive at the plate, who get in there, dig in, swing at the first pitch, on the barrel, play hard, especially when it's hot in the summer. And usually this is at the end of the summer, so guys can be worn down a little bit. To have that energy, that really stands out.
What makes this event here special? With all the college coaches coming out and just the environment here at Lake Point.
I think, obviously having all these college coaches, all these players, the ability to kind of unite them in one place, it's kind of culminating effort of our staff. Like, they care so much about the actual players and the stories behind the scenes, that what they talk to the coaches about each player, oh, this guy's dad was good, he had a great spring, whatever it may be. I think that's really beneficial for the players.
You got to watch out for the foul balls too, right?
Always head on a swivel at all times at ballparks.
Hey, you've been doing this 9 years. Just what have you learned over your time with prep baseball, and just what goes into this event and all the other ones?
I think just the positivity to bring energy every day is so important because, like I said, it is the summertime, it's the end of the year. Find something good about a player. What do I like? And then go from there. That's kind of what I've learned. Find what you like about this kid, and everybody's going to have a chance to play somewhere. Find a good fit.
All right, if you had to give some advice to somebody out here playing in the future games, what would you say to them?
Hit a home run. Honestly, do something loud really brings out the coaches, right? It hits them right in the head. But you can just do anything. It doesn't matter if you do something bad. Do something good. Run onto the field well. Warm up with somebody. Pick up a teammate. Even if there's something that you can't control, those are strikeouts. Whatever happens to the plays on the field, but control the controllable. Go out there. Coaches are always watching.
Yeah, love it, Shooter. Thanks so much for the time, and we appreciate your dedication here.
Absolutely.
Welcome back. Cory McCartney now joined once again in studio by Grayson Rosen. Our watch party rolls along. Wisconsin up 4-0 over Illinois in the featured game of the day. Just had Les Lukach from Prep Baseball California joining us for his matchup there of NorCal versus SoCal. SoCal's got that 1-0 lead off of the home run there from Kim, and Texas North got a 3-2 lead over Texas South in that Lone Star State Showdown. Lone Star State Showdown. That's a tricky one. It's a little easier than everyone used to say the Red River Rivalry.
Yeah.
That was always a tricky one.
Yeah.
Red River Rivalry. When Oklahoma and Texas
tough.
would face off, but they don't call that. What do they call that now?
Shootout. Red River Shootout.
Okay.
No, that's the old one.
Now
it's
the
Red River
now
Rivalry.
they've given me that tongue
That's what
twister
it
over it.
is.
Yeah, it
That's
used to
what
be
it is.
happening on the fairgrounds there in Texas. But I digress. We're back here in studio. Your feature games watch party. That 4-0 lead for Wisconsin. 2 of those runs coming off the bat of Carter Fry. Just an absolute rocket off his bat into the left field corner for a first inning home run.
Good hit right there for a double.
You kind of saddened we're at the last day of action here for the feature games. There's just so much buildup, and then we kind of watch these guys get the opportunity to do their thing. And had a couple guys here in studio with me already today. Lawton, Littleton from Louisiana, Jack Johnson out of here in Georgia playing for Southeast. Their feature games is over with. It's got to be a little bit. You probably just get so amped for it, and even more so than us. These guys get so excited for that opportunity. And then they ended up walking out those doors, and it's just like, what impression did I leave those college coaches with?
Yeah. And now, like, because of just the timing and the calendar, they have to wait all the way till Friday to start getting reached out to. So it's just like you just kind of got to sit around and wait for nearly a week after you've kind of made your mark and just see how it goes.
I would say it's like Christmas, but you're Jewish, so you would necessarily.
I mean,
be able to
we
talk
did
about,
both.
Okay, but you weren't waiting around for Santa Claus on
not
necessarily
often,
on Christmas Eve. Well, these guys are waiting for recruiting Santa Claus. They're waiting for Vitella Claus to give them a call on August 1st, right?
Yeah. We saw him walking around yesterday.
Yeah, a fixture here. That one's dropped down for a base hit in NorCal, SoCal. There's a lot going on. Of course, this is the Geo Services Futures Weekend. We got the Georgia Outdoor Network outdoor blast going on over at the Champion Center. It's made parking extremely hard to come by. We'll have a lot of weekends where we'll say, oh, you can't find a parking spot here. And we'll joke about it on here. This one is, I think.
Oh, it's for real.
Yeah, this one is, not only do you have each of these players here for the feature games, we talk about the hundreds of college coaches that are here, and then you've got thousands of people that are going through the Champion Center for this outdoor expo, trying to go around there and check all that stuff out. So it is extremely complicated. And you have action over at the Beach Pavilion as well. So parking is the thing here this weekend at Lake Point.
Yeah, maybe we need to speak to the powers that be about adding more parking. I feel like that's probably something they're well aware of and trying to make happen if possible.
I want to see a parking deck. I think that's the thing but parking decks, did you know when you build a parking deck, each spot is roughly about $10,000?
It's insane how expensive a parking deck really is.
Maybe somebody out there wants to sponsor a parking deck, and that could
be
they
could get the naming rights on the parking deck.
I like that.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Any takers? Who do we think would be the fit? I'm trying to think of. I mean, a car company would be
sense. Great. Yeah.
Maybe a towing service.
Yeah, I was just going to say a towing service, because then you're basically making these people thankful that they don't have to use your services.
Yeah, but then also they could be patrolling. If you're illegally parked, you're out of there.
That's true.
Somebody decides they want to take up 2 spots.
Is that you're not digging at the First Form guys in their tank out there, are you?
No.
Okay. Because they're taking up. They're the only ones that I've seen.
That deserves its spots.
It does.
It maybe deserves 4 of them.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to park next to it.
They said those things are like 12 years old.
Really?
That they have multiple of them. They've driven them all over the country.
They're pretty awesome.
But I would just imagine, like, from a financial standpoint, maybe the gas mileage on that thing doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, but it's cool.
But I'm sure
remember
it. You will, but
sure.
I also bet because they can put so much stuff in there, they probably cut down on shipping costs by being able to take it all themselves. So maybe it does all end up evening out.
Wisconsin's just laying it on right now.
Yeah, they're up 5-0.
6-0 now with the RBI triple.
Man, they're just pouring it on. Who got that triple? Did we see who got the triple?
I didn't see who it was.
Well, Carter Fry's got the 2-run bomb. See where they're at in the order right now. They've got Staud is currently up. So that would have been Rogozinski
with
the triple.
Than Maddox.
Than our local Rogozinski's at Brookwood.
And that was on a 3-2 count. I feel like exit velo was somewhere around 94, 96 that I saw up there on the screen, but great work from Wisconsin, just jumping on the pitching here early.
Yeah, that's Kyle Rogozinski, by the way, from Muskego. He's the third-ranked player in the state in 2027. Had Logan Hagman on with me a couple days ago during our early feature game watch party days. I think Logan came in during workout day and joined me for a little while. But he's the top-ranked player in the state on this team. Kyle Rogozinski, number 3. Jack Spielman, number 4. And then also mentioned Carter Fry, who already has himself a home run today. Carter is the 4th-ranked outfielder in the state, 17th overall. Vinny Rattino does a great job out there in Wisconsin. Obviously a color commentator for the Brewers coverage for what's now FanDuel Sports up there in Wisconsin. So he does a fantastic job. Vinny normally joins me in here, so I'm a little heartbroken that I'm not going to get my Vinny time to rib him a little bit. I'm sure I'll see Vinny down at the All-American game in
These
September.
scouting directors have been busy this week. That's for sure.
And I appreciate that so many of them stopping by, and we're still expected to have Hunter Martin from Tennessee and Alex Armand from Louisiana coming by today as well, because with the inclusion of the senior games, these guys have had so much more to do.
Yeah.
And they're just getting stretched in a few different directions. Of course, they want to get down to the juniors and watch them, and they want to have some conversations with some coaches about the players that they're putting on display here. So I appreciate their time.
Yeah, because the week kind of starts a day earlier now, and you also have the seniors and the juniors intertwined because you're dealing with senior workouts, senior gameplay Tuesday. Then you have workout day Wednesday while seniors are playing. Then you have junior check-in that afternoon. Thursday comes around, and it's workouts, it's gameplay, and then it just keeps rolling from there. It's a very busy week for these scouting directors and for kind of the whole team. But
another run crosses the board for Wisconsin, so we'll see that update now. But they should be up 7-0 in that one in the 3rd. They've just been very impressive squad thus far. Putting it to an Illinois team that put it to Indiana a couple days ago. So the Midwest, that part of the Big Ten is a mess.
That is often how it goes.
SoCal's got that 1-0 lead over NorCal. Texas North against Texas South. That one is 3-2 with North being ahead momentarily. I mentioned a guy stopping by a little bit ago. I want to roll in our interview. Jack Johnson from Southeast joined me here in studio. Let's get to know Jack as he stopped by. Now joined here in studio by Jack Johnson out of Harrison playing for Southeast. Jack, good to see you, man. Appreciate the time.
Pleasure for you to have me.
Absolutely. You just wrapped up feature games. Tell me, if you have to summarize the entire experience, how would you do it?
Just most amazing thing I've ever done. Never really pitched and seen that many just people there, just in general. It's very good. It was good for me.
So you took 2 innings in the Hill against North Carolina. Tell me, when you went into that experience, what you mentioned, you'd never seen that many guys before. What was the kind of the mental preparation going for it, and then the reality of seeing it all?
I feel like the mental preparation was probably just to calm myself down, because sometimes I tend to get too amped up and then no clue where the ball is going. But no, I just went out there and tried to throw strikes because I knew the adrenaline would be pumping.
What was working for you? What were you looking to accomplish, and kind of how would you break it all down?
I think my fastball was really working. Changeup, didn't start off well. Got much better, but it was pretty much my fastball. I just knew when they were coming up, there was 3 lefties to start off, so kind of had a plan, tried to start them away, changeup, but it went pretty well for me, I felt.
I'm always interested in talking to both sides of the equation here with a pitcher and a catcher. You're working with a guy maybe for the first time. What were those conversations like before you guys went out in the field?
Before I went out to the field, I had to make sure he knew, because a lot of catchers, my ball tends to sink a little bit tail, so I told him mostly big 2-seam guy, but he was really just helpful, because a lot of catchers don't like catching 2-seams, but he was all for it. He didn't care. He knew how to call pitches, which was really, really, really thankful.
3rd-ranked right-handed pitcher in Georgia, 8th overall in the class of 2027. We got you the fastball. It ticks up around 91. You topped out at 90 here at feature games. Also have that curveball, changeup, and slider. Rank those secondary pitches for me. What do you like? What are you working on? What's kind of that next evolution?
I definitely got to say my best off-speed pitch is my changeup. I feel very comfortable. Slider has been okay. Been trying to learn it. It spins hard, but it's kind of hard to control sometimes. But changeup is usually always there for me.
Talk about working with catchers. Dominic Stevenson at Harrison has been obviously for you guys there having that kind of a catcher. How has he helped you develop as a pitcher?
Just he's been pretty big. Didn't get to throw with him much because I was on JV because I wasn't eligible.
Yeah.
But he was always a big help. He always tried to help me get into the team because I was a new kid there. He was always helpful. He would catch bullpens. He was just a big role model because of how great he was.
You were on a Southeast team mix up with some guys from Florida. What was that dynamic like, you guys coming together to form a new team?
Well, it was actually pretty fun because I actually knew a few of those kids. Like I know we just threw Zachary Therese. I've known him for a lot, but yeah, it was cool to see because a lot more Florida guys than I thought. And those Florida guys are pretty freaking good.
The Georgia guys, when they come into this event, it's always like kind of defend my turf a little bit. Maybe you're playing Southeast, not Georgia, but it was still that kind of sense like this is my backyard. I need to go out and show out.
Yes, sir. It was. I mean, it was. It was cool to see, but we. I feel like the Georgia boys showed them that we could also play.
Love to know who guys were influenced along. By the way, when you were coming up as a player, who did you look to? I mean, obviously growing up here in Braves country, I'm sure there's some Braves guys that you kind of were modeling things after. But who are those guys for you that you've looked up to and tried to kind of take pieces of their game into your own?
Definitely, I definitely feel like a big part of my game has been my dad, just due to the fact he was a big college coach. He's been helped me a lot. Looked up, I probably Greg Maddox maybe.
Okay,
because
there you go.
I like throwing two-seam, like to command. But I feel like my biggest person I've looked up to is my pitching coach Nick from Pinnacle. He has helped me a lot. I started off there 70s, and then quickly I quickly got up to throwing upper 80s, low 90s. But it's been a struggle for me to throw strikes. But I feel like my game is finally starting to show that I'm more of a strike thrower.
6'3", 195. Is it the next piece of it to put on a little bit more weight and let's see how high we can get that velo to go? What's the plan?
Definitely this fall, I'm definitely going to try to get bigger, stronger, throw harder, work on my mechanics. I was originally 205, but I struggle sometimes when I'm starting sweating a lot. I struggle to keep weight, but I feel like definitely this fall I'm going to try to get up to at least 210. A lot bigger and stronger.
Yeah, you did. If you're looking back at some of the old showcase videos from you look a little bit wider than you are now, so you cut a little bit weight for that. But you think you can put it back on and still be effective?
Oh, I definitely think I could put on. My speed, I feel like even being bigger, I feel like I could still be pretty fast. But no, I think definitely putting on a little weight is going to definitely make my velo jump a little bit.
All right, great stuff. Now comes my favorite part. We're going to play a little random questions here with Jack Johnson. There we go. I had our fancy intro. Now, the way this is going to work, Jack, is we have 100 random questions that were created by ChatGPT. Our producer, Jack's going to give me 3 numbers. Those are going to be the questions that you will answer here. Jack, what is Jack Johnson's 3 numbers?
1.
Okay. Oh.
45.
All right.
And 62.
1, 45, and 62. All right. Number 1, which superhero would you be?
That's a good one. I feel like I'd have to be Superman. I mean, Superman's he's just everything. He can fly, he's fast, he's invincible, except for kryptonite, obviously. But no, he would be amazing. I'd love to be him.
So if you watch Superman when he's younger, it's like they didn't want him to show everyone what he could do because you didn't want to draw too much attention. If you could be that and still be Jack Johnson on the field, would you maybe I'm going to try a little bit harder so I can show out the superpowers and not draw too much attention? How would you have that balance?
I feel like the older I would go, the more I'd show little by little.
Yeah.
But I definitely think I wouldn't try to show full potential.
Yeah,
but I would, once I get older, I'd definitely show my powers.
All right. Number 45, which animal best represents your playing style?
I'd have to say maybe a giraffe.
Okay.
Because I'm tall, but I'm not insanely tall, but I'm a little awkward sometimes but no, I feel like a giraffe would represent me well.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. All right. Final one, number 62. What's your ultimate cheat day meal?
Pizza. Has to be.
Any toppings in particular? It's
a lot of meat.
A lot of meat. So you like hitting up mellow mushroom, and you just want the one that's the full-on carnivore.
Yes,
just give me everything.
I'll tell you,
got.
a good one is Peace, Love, and Pizza. Been there?
Yeah.
Their Meatosaurus is legit. But I'm not a big sweets guy.
Okay.
Never been a big sweets guy, but, dabble in some cookie cake.
Okay. Get this man some pizza. Jack Johnson, appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. So much more of our watch party for the feature games coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our Feature Games Watch Party, now joined by Prep Baseball Louisiana's Alex Armand here as our watch party rolls along. Texas South versus Texas North, NorCal, SoCal, and the feature game of the day, Wisconsin against Illinois. Carter Fry in that one, Alex, has a home run and a double in his first 2 trips to the plate. So that guy putting on an absolute show. Your guys are now wrapped up. How are you when we tell the story of the 2025 feature games in Louisiana? What story are we telling?
Gosh, that's a really good question. Cory, I feel like Louisiana has always been known, right, to have tough, hard-nosed kids, right? I feel like we're known for middle infielders, guys that can really run. But I was telling a lot of the coaches here coming into this week, this is a different type of class in Louisiana. I feel like our arms were really, really good as a whole, and we had just some more physical type of guys, offensive players. So a little bit different type of class or year, but still a really good one.
Let's start at the top here. I had Lawton Littleton record an interview with him pregame. We're going to roll to that here in a little bit. Out of Barb, top player in your state in 2027, known commodity. How do you feel like he kind of handled being the centerpiece of this team for you?
I think Lawton did great. He had a really long and successful spring season for Barb. I think he logged just over 70-something innings. He actually, Cory, had an injury playing center field first weekend of the summer, ran into a center field wall at a tournament and knocked a couple of teeth out. Right. He had to have surgery a couple of days later. So
wow.
He took 3 weeks off and just started throwing again a couple of weeks ago to really get ready for this. And I thought he did a great job. And look, he also swung the bat extremely well, had a couple of doubles.
Koa Romero, the 5th-ranked player in your state as well, kind of just starting off with these top few guys here, third baseman, right-handed pitcher out of Hahnville. How did you feel like he handled the opportunity? What did you see out of him?
Yeah, Koa on the workout day, of course. I mean, everything he hit was just hard and on the barrel. I'm actually not sure if Koa actually got a hit this week at the Future Games, but look, everybody here knows what type of hitter he is. And look, he also closed out the last 2 innings of this third game, had 4 strikeouts, was up to 90. So Koa's a good player.
Miles Collins is your top-ranked catcher. I hate having this conversation over and over again, but I think it's always such a central part of future games is when you have a catcher back there who's going to be working with all these new arms. You really got to have a guy that you feel like can handle any situation, and I would assume you felt like you had that with Miles.
I did. I felt very comfortable coming in about Miles doing exactly what you just said, and he did a phenomenal job of handling, for the most part, guys that he's never caught before, right? And he was a leader on the field. Miles did a really good job. Swung the bat extremely well too.
You had some guys that had been junior feature gamers before. Owen Galley was one of those. He had a 2-time feature gamer in Dakota Jones, as well as mentioned Littleton. Guys who have kind of been here, and Ian Smith as well, and Jake Wooten. They know what to expect. Is that? But obviously, it's not the same atmosphere as what you're going to have there. Do you have the same conversations with them as you'll have with somebody who's maybe experiencing all this for the first time?
Really good question. So, the guys that haven't experienced this event before, right? They didn't come with us to the Junior Future Games a couple years ago. I tell them like this, Cory, like it's something I can try to explain to you. Like I have 2 young kids, and I remember people used to always tell me like, when I'd ask them questions about how it is to be a parent and raise kids, they're like, man, you got to do it for yourself and jump 2 feet in. You'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And this event, no matter how much I try to describe it to them, you just don't know till you come do it. And now that we're done playing, a lot of those kids and parents, told me like, hey, Coach, I see what you're saying now.
You're in an interesting position, too, because if you were to ask any player here, give me top 3 schools that you're hoping come calling on August 1st, there's one that wears purple and yellow that's in your state that's going to be at the top of nearly everyone's list, and even more so for those guys within your state. How do you kind of curb those expectations, or help these guys understand, like, look, I realize you want to, this is the school everyone's eyeing, so is everyone else's at the event.
Right. Great question. So how do you curb those expectations? I think that's something that not only I pride myself in, but I think other state directors in the company, prep baseball as a whole, I think we all do a really good job at telling these kids the truth, right? And this is a different world in recruiting and with the transfer portal and everything, that's going on. And the one thing I try to stress to my guys is, hey, look, August 1st is coming up and everybody talks about that date, but, don't get caught up in who calls you and who doesn't call you. All these kids got to keep working, but the most important thing is, at the end of the day, go somewhere where it's the best fit for you to play. I'm
always interested to know guys that were a little under the radar going into the event, but a state director didn't think that was an under radar guy. Who were those ones where when you were thinking they're going to be talking about that guy when they leave?
I was hoping you would ask this question. So we just got done playing our last game against Oklahoma. We came back and won 4-3. There was a young man, right-handed pitcher from Alexandria Senior High, so Central Louisiana, named Jack Lee. So Cory, he came to our last open event of the summer back on July 1st at Zachary High School, and it was like 86-90, moved really well, spun the breaking ball well, and nobody, including me, had heard of this kid before. So I invited him to the future games, and he was every bit of 90-92 today, 4 punch-outs, no walks. But I told people, they were laughing about it, some of these college coaches, I told them, like, hey, I'm just telling you, this Jack Lee guy is, like, really good. Y'all just don't know him. I didn't know him either. He did well for himself.
Do you wonder in a situation like that, and obviously this is a kid that lived up to the moment, lived up to the platform, how are they going to handle this? Like, if you see him in that kind of environment and you're like, yeah, he's not playing at Barb, but I put him in here, what's he going to do when he sees that sea of coaches?
Right. That's one of the most fascinating things every year, and something I'm always interested to see is, you're right, like, how do they handle the moment? Others, handle it, better than some, but, I think for the most part, especially if you have the right type of kid and they have the right mindset and they want to do well, most of them come here and, they end up doing well for themselves.
And I would honestly, if I were a player, I'd rather be in that position than, and no offense to him, or not to his detriment, I'd almost rather be in that position than be Lawton Littleton, where you're the number one guy and it's like, hey, I got to go and show out.
That's right. Look, 100%. It's when Lawton made that start, that first game, right? Like, it was like a sea of, you could feel right the atmosphere, So yeah, you're right. It's not easy.
Yeah, I don't begrudge these kids. I mean, obviously, we want all of them to get that opportunity, but the ones that have been under the microscope for a little while, I can anticipate that being just a little more complicated. Some interesting conversations that I've had with parents who were here a year ago. I think a lot of them, you go through this future games process, you see those coaches, you got that August 1 deadline date looming. Everyone just anticipates, by the time I go back to school, it's going to be set. I'm going to have my school in play.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of kids now. Obviously, there's even more reason to have the senior future games now than there was a year ago, 2 years ago. What are you telling the parents when they come here? It's like, I get this has been the past, but that's not the reality of the future.
It's not the reality. So well said. I'm trying to, I don't know if I want to say temper expectations. What I've done with these parents and kids, the message I've said to them is, I've just tried to be real, right? Like, we are in a different world. A lot of these schools are taking their time. They want to make sure that, they get it right, which I think is a good thing at the end of the day. We want these kids, we want their dreams to come true, but I also want them to go to a place where they are going to play, because if you're out there playing, it's probably a whole lot more fun for them, their family, and everybody that supports them.
I'm looking at the metrics on Mason Regillo.
Rogelio.
Rogelio. See, you get those different pronunciations in Louisiana. Mason Rogelio. I like to look at exit velos and bat speeds and look at numbers where I'm like, is that an MLB The Show made-up player?
Right.
And those are kind of the metrics. He didn't do that here, but we've got 104 exit velo, bat speed north of 80 miles an hour. I realize it's not apples to oranges, but when you pull up like StatCast and you see guys who are putting in numbers and you're like, that's like Giancarlo Stanton kind of bat speed, O'Neal Cruz. I mean, that's eye-opening stuff.
Eye-opening stuff. And look, Mason's a great kid. He had a really good week for us. I think he ended up having 3 or 4 hits. Drew several walks, was on base a bunch. He's a physical catcher, guy that came with us right to the Junior Future Games a couple years ago from West Feliciana High School. Mason's he's definitely one of the top right-handed power bats in our state's 27 class.
So the Junior Feature Gamers in action. They'll have their championship game tomorrow. We're going to have coverage of that championship game at 2:30. I love that we still have it, even though I think you could probably get to the point, and I've asked Sean Duncan on the spot about this, and Les was happy that I did ask him about whether or not we could see a future where maybe there isn't a Junior Feature Games and every state has their own senior team because we're getting to that point of things with the recruiting landscape. I still love the fact that you've got kids who are out there like battling each other and there's something at stake.
Absolutely. Look, when we got here on that workout day with those little guys, I say little, they're 14 years old. I mean, they are just like, they are tickled to death, right, to be here. And it's important to them to put on that jersey with their state across their chest. Like they've looked forward to this all summer. Not that the 27s or 26s haven't, but like you said, they're playing for a championship over there. And it's something every year that I come, I enjoy watching the Junior Future Games. It's fun, and like you mentioned earlier, it gives them just a taste of what it could be like in a couple years.
And I think that's why you can't probably do away with it 100% because I think it's meaningful. Because I've talked to so many guys the last couple of days. They're like, when I was with the Junior Feature Gamers, I'd run over there and I'd watch the older guys play, and I'd see those coaches, and I'd be like, that's going to be me. But if you were to take that away, it wouldn't quite have that same goal aspect to it for these guys.
That's right. It wouldn't have the same effect. And look, it's the Junior Future Games is it's just an awesome event. Look, I don't know if you know this, but the last year that we had the 13U group, Louisiana, we won it all. So we talk about it all the time. We're like, we're probably the last ever 13U JFG champs.
Last year, unfortunately, we were all set up. We were getting ready to do the broadcast. The sky opened up, and we didn't get to actually have the game. And they gave the winning team got Oakleys. They gave the winning team based on who was the higher seed, the Oakleys. And there was some frustrated kids that left that day thinking they were getting gypped out of getting some sunglasses.
Yeah, I could see.
So, what number of feature games is this for you?
Gosh, so this is, I was thinking about it last night actually. So this is number 6 for me coming here, but 2020, the first year that I came, Walt Jones was the state director for Louisiana. He now just joined Tulane as their hitting coach and recruiting coordinator. So 21 was the first year I actually brought a team as the state director. So 6 total, 5 is the director.
What's been the biggest change I mean, obviously the senior games has been a major change, but what's been the change in the perception of the event since you've been a part of it?
Gosh, just the fact when they, I can't remember if that was I think it was 2023, when they made that rule change with that new August 1st date and the early commitments, right, went away. I mean, we talked about it the day that was announced. I mean, we all said, like, oh my gosh, in a couple of years, when we've got to bring the 27s and this year it's their year to go, we're pretty much going to have the pick of the litter, and it's never been like that, right? So it was always a really good event, but this year I feel like it's taken another step up because all the state directors, we can pick pretty much, there's only maybe a couple that are committed, right?
Yeah.
And just think about next year and the year after.
Yeah, exactly. There's still a few guys in the class that are still, ones that are kind of holdovers that still have that ranking attached to them, especially, Chase Fuller at Florida. I mean, he was going to be locked up because of his dad, Cory Fuller, at Florida State. That was going to be over with in a hurry, that he was going to be a Seminole. But you have to go all the way down to Sushi Wilson at number 7 in the country to find the next guy who's got a commitment alongside of them. So it's certainly been to everyone's benefit, I think. And because of that, the high number of high intensity arms that we've seen. We've seen 9. I mean, it used to be, and I love telling this, like 90 used to be like everyone flipped out. And now it's like There's another 90.
Cory, we were talking about this the other night. So out of all the teams that I've brought, like, I remember, I think it was the summer of 2022, I brought a kid by the name of Marshall Luke here.
Yeah.
And he came as an underclassman, and he was 88 to 90, and I remember, like, that was a big deal. And I told people coming into this future games, like, I felt like one of the strengths of our team was going to be our pitching and just the depth. And, I looked at it and said, man, we could have 8 guys at 90 or better. And I think we ended up having 7 out of the 8 that I thought.
Doesn't it make you wonder, like, where does this stop? We keep moving up the
barometer.
Yeah, we keep moving up the floor. Like, what are we going to get to 95 being a floor?
Gosh, I mean, that would be insane. You feel like at some point it's got to plateau.
You'd think so,
right? The human body can only take so much.
Yeah, I mean, I was Grayson Rosen, who does a lot of this stuff with these games with me. He said, we don't know, like, back in the 1940s, 1950s, if guys were throwing in the 90s.
True.
Like, we don't have the metrics on that, but now it's just like that, and the bat velos, everything's just so commonplace where it's like, 110 is just, I mean,
oh my God.
It's not that crazy to see anymore.
Look, I remember 3 years ago in Louisiana, like, we would get a triple-digit exit velocity, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And we had, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 guys triple-digit. Like, it's just it's crazy.
We had last year during MPI, I think we had Ethan Holiday at 114.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what he does.
That's what he does.
But that's not everyone's just kind of we still have those moments. Like, we had Jack Bauer here in the spring out of Illinois hitting 102 on the mound here, and that was something where everyone's like, that's a national story. But those high velo arms is not a known commodity, and we've seen. I think it's been dozens across this future games that have done it thus far. So it's been something.
Look, that what was it? I think it was the first. No. Excuse me. I think it was the second. No, first night. That last pod where you had Texas and SoCal and these guys playing. I mean, it was every field you looked on, it was 91 to 94 with a real breaking ball. Like, it's insane. These kids are 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, it's insane what we're getting the human body to do with consistency now, and these guys are certainly giving coaches a lot to see. I can't imagine like how you would even as a college coach, and that one's roped 87.7 off his bat, when that one's going foul.
Wow.
How you leave this and differentiate between some of these arms when everyone's at that same level.
How do you do that, right? Like, hey, that's why they get paid the big bucks. But look, I think, right, like when these guys really start to dive into like the TrackMan data, I think that's where you can, maybe find some metrics, that maybe push you to one guy over the other, right? They got a tough job though.
Well, we're giving them a lot to look at here, and certainly a lot to talk about as well. Alex, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for your time, and this was so much fun.
I enjoyed it, Cory. I will tell you this, I'll definitely be back next year. This was kind of therapeutic.
Well, next time we'll have our better studio. You'll be able to come into real air and conditioning. You can hang out. You can get away from all the noise.
That's
and you
right.
can just, we'll take you and let you have some fun with us. All right, we're going to take a break in studio. We'll be back with more of our Feature Games Watch Party. All right. That was
awesome, man.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright. the kind you want to stay up with all night.
I was 12 years old at Cooperstown, and my mom said if I hit a home run in Cooperstown, I could get a phone. And on the final game, I hit a bomb over left field, and I got a new phone.
I've never hit a home run up to that point. It was 14U, really small field. I wasn't hitting anything, and I finally poked one out, barely.
My first home run was 8U at Eastside. I think I was on the worst team in the whole league, and then hit the home run, and we kind of turned the season around.
Another call to the bullpen here for Grayson Rosen. You get more, you like have more up and down than any reliever in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
That was what Paul Bird always told me. The hardest part of being a reliever wasn't the fact that when the games you actually went into, it was the ones that you had to get ready for, and then they used you. Yeah, that they would.
Done that a couple times.
But at least with you, we always bring you back in.
Yeah. I always find my way back in here.
Well, things have gotten out of hand in Wisconsin, Illinois. The featured game, Wisconsin is just having a monster day. And nobody more so than Carter Fry, who followed up that home run with the RBI double as well. He's now got 3 runs driven in that one. And I'm going to be excited to see when he gets back to the plate for a team that's just having its way with Illinois. Meanwhile, Texas South, excuse me. The fact that it just says Texas hyphen.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, and it's not like they're color-coded based on the uniforms that the teams are wearing. So that one is 6-3, excuse me. Texas South on the top in that one. Texas North on top in that one. I could just say Texas is leading 6-3.
Yeah, Texas is winning, but also Texas is losing.
Yeah.
And Texas has scored 9 runs.
That's right. SoCal got that 2-1 lead over NorCal. That one's in the bottom of the 4th inning. I am excited to get into tomorrow's junior feature games, championship game. Looks like the weather's going to cooperate with us this time around. And talking to Alex about it, like we get real caught up in this side of it with the future games, then obviously what we saw with the seniors and the amount of coaches that are here. But he said it like there's like the fact that those guys get to almost be like a, rep their state, put that uniform on and go out and fight for something. Makes it kind of a completely different mindset than what's happening here in the feature games and senior feature games, when obviously your biggest piece of here is that you're trying to show out for the coaches and hopefully get that August 1st call.
Yeah, I mean, those kids want to win. It's the biggest thing that changes when we go over to that junior future games championship, is that all of those guys there are there to win, and they're there to play as a team, and then obviously they're there to show off. I mean, that's the nature of it, but it's really cool to see those guys, and it's been nice walking around, seeing a couple of familiar faces with the Georgia Junior Future Games squads that we saw a lot here in the spring. Ran into Austin Kitchings, who I caught up with at the Prep Baseball Tournament's Youth Cup.
Yeah, brother of Aiden, who's on his way to Missouri.
And Ava, who is
and of course her
dad, state champion in long jump.
Yeah, that could you imagine, like, if you were, the significant other of one of those kids, or just a friend that's coming by and having dinner with them, and you've got Aiden, Austin, and then their sister Ava, who's an accomplished track star, and then you've got their dad Desmond, who is the OC of Virginia, who used to be on staff with the Falcons and played in the NFL.
Yeah, it'd be scary.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a high-pressure situation.
Yeah, I don't really know that your athletic feats is what you're necessarily going to want to bring up with all of them at the table.
No, you better be really good in school.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was some really good defensive work there.
You say the first baseman came off the bag.
Oh, man, that was a heck of a throw. That was Lubin Rincon at short showing off that arm. I'll have a runner on with nobody out in the... That's in the top of the 5th.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a glare.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of fun with everybody joining us. It's been a parade, as it typically is across these feature games, with state directors and players coming by, and been a lot of fun having everyone come on through here. Actually, we just heard from Alex Armand. That one's roped 91.9. That's headed into the left corner. Is that going to be extra bases? And in fact, that's one going to be down. Give him a ground rule double. That was simply roped. Oh, they making him go back? Or was it caught? See, the fact is that sometimes the camera doesn't go into the... Yeah, that was Elijah Mason, by the way, who... some really great comments there from Les Lukach about Elijah. 10-2, Wisconsin over Illinois. It's hard to fathom that a couple nights ago we watched Illinois beat Indiana 10-0, and they didn't give up. They gave up one hit in that game, and now on the flip side of it, they're down 10-2.
Well, it just means that Wisconsin's better. What happened in Wisconsin versus Indiana?
Well, I guess if we were doing this as going from pool play to bracket play, their run differential would take a gigantic hit.
Wisconsin beat Indiana by 2.
Okay.
6-4.
So Wisconsin's going to be kings of the Midwest.
Yes, but they lost to Missouri.
Okay, as being from the Midwest, I don't consider Missouri the Midwest. No, and they're the SEC. They're not the Midwest.
Yeah, that's true.
But then Nebraska considers themselves part of the Midwest, and when you're looking at the geography of the United States, it doesn't necessarily play itself out that way. But Wisconsin's looking to be crowned here. They are up 10-2. See where we're at in their order. See if we're going to get another look at Carter Fry, see if he's got some more magic. They're the last batter in their order. Chris Anolo's coming up. So we got 3 batters into this one. Logan Hagman is on the on-deck circle. Logan, again, joined me a couple days ago here during the watch party. So we're going to get potentially a look at Carter Fry, and this one coming up for the 3rd time. He's already 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs and 2 extra base hits, including a homer. I don't think anybody's ever hit for the cycle in the future games.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
You got Lubin Rincon at the plate right now, up in that top left corner.
I was just so blown away in my time with him. Just such a kid who's just got his head on straight, in terms of understanding. I'm the guy at the position in pretty much one of these states when it comes to talent. And he's handling himself all too well in that position, sees himself as a leader amongst all these players here in this Texas South team.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have his pick of the litter come August 1st. I think he might need a couple of phones to handle all those phone calls.
Well, you know what? I don't think any of these guys would firmly admit this, and that's actually not Lubin. I think it's his spot in the order, but I think he's wearing number 6. So,
you're right.
I believe they would have went somewhere else in the lineup at this point. But consider nowadays that everybody has an advisor that's part of their inner circle.
Lubin's probably not getting direct calls.
No, well, I was going to say that, but he's probably also, an advisor has probably already put out word of which programs he is interested in. So I don't necessarily think you're getting teams that wouldn't be on his short list reaching out, thinking that maybe there's a chance that we can get him to come on our campus. I would assume in this day and age, these guys are a little bit more in line with that.
So you're telling me he's not going to take the call from University of Texas Rio Grande Valley?
Probably not. No.
Got it. I was kind of holding out for him to go there.
Blue Mountain State's not going to be calling Lubin Rincon to play baseball.
Yeah.
There's never been a really good college baseball movie, by the way. That could be like the next sports movie.
Yeah.
A really good college baseball movie. There's been a lot of high school baseball movies. There's been a lot of...
the only thing I can think of is Everybody Wants Some, which is a Richard Linklater movie.
Yeah.
That one's college baseball.
But you could make, in this day and age, the fact that it's almost, with the SEC and ACC, almost like this kind of like rock star vibe to things, you can make a really good college baseball movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys getting calls trying to get them to go into the transfer portal if they're not getting playing time.
Yeah, and with NIL and everything involved, I think you could definitely do something.
All right, we got Hunter Martin's waiting outside, by the way, and we talk about guys who could probably really have some good stories as we take him in. I'm going to put him on the spot and ask him. He's going to be my co-writer on this series. We're going to take this thing to Netflix. All right, we'll be back real quick. We're going to be joined by Prep Baseball Tennessee State Director Hunter Martin when we return.
We're here at Lake Point Sports, the site of the first Curve Test Center. There will be lots of Curve Test Centers, but this will always be the first. And why are we here? Here for a couple of reasons. One is if you think about the effort, players are spending trying to get coaches to notice them, the effort coaches are spending trying to figure out who's actually any good, the poor parents who are sitting there saying, where's my kid headed? This is the answer for all that.
Everyone wants to be seen, right? Sometimes what can be seen is data. So it's hard to get in front of coaches at all these programs at once, or even the school you really want to go to. So using data helps us a ton. And as long as it's reliable and there's something that can give us better information with the small sample size is what we're looking for.
There we go. Fade to black. Now we're back in action. Hunter Martin, Prep Baseball Tennessee, joining me here. A wrap on your feature games. What was the story of Tennessee?
Man, it's been a competitive group that we've had this year, and we were kind of leading up to this event of whether this team was going to be able to be as good or as better than last year's, and we kind of, I think, from our internal point of view, is we kind of looked the part, both physicality-wise, mentally in the box, on the mound. We don't have as much, I think, flamethrowers as we did last year with Bo Holloway and Cade Allen, and Michael Teasy and Finn Waters, of those kind of kids from last year. But I think we've shown a lot of pitchability on the mound this year and been able to get a lot of strikeouts with pitching in the zone as well. So it's been fun to see that side of things. But also I think on the hitting side of things, we're a pretty good group. We have one home run on the week so far, but with a lot of doubles.
We got to get your guys on screen, by the way. So the NorCal-SoCal game, let's change that to Florida and Tennessee so Hunter can see his guys in action here. That one's in I believe, the bottom of the 6th inning right now.
I think we are hitting, yes.
There we go. Let him take in the action here.
So the first guy got on.
So this is Carter Hewlett at the plate right now. Carter out of Ensworth, 5th-ranked catcher in the state. I had Jaden Pearl in here in studio the other day. That guy looks like an SEC running back
right.
now.
He looks. I always mess with him saying he looks like NFL safety.
Yeah.
Just really quick, athletic, running back, kind of that mold of the shoulders, the neck, the thickness in the legs, and all that. So yeah, he's a really strong kid, really athletic kid. I think we clocked him at 6'5" this week. At 205, but there's not much fat on that body at all whatsoever. So it's pretty impressive seeing him play. And he just missed one earlier in this game where we were actually using like a bad baseball that was cut, and it went off the wall, which should have been really gone, I think, the way he hit it, to be honest with you. So
it's funny talking to a guy that looks like that, because it's like, if you look at the pro level, there's not a lot of guys who are built like he is. And it's like, how do you kind of, when you're building yourself up as a player and you're looking at the pro level and going, I want to play like that. I mean, there's some guys like Tony Kemp, maybe some guys that you could say are a little bit built like that, but that's not a typical baseball body to go out and try to find people to emulate.
He looks like he belongs on the gridiron,
yeah,
100%. But baseball's been his sport since he was a kid. I think he actually quit football going into high school to basically focus on baseball full time. So that's been his sport since I know he's been young, and I think he's also really talented at baseball, to be honest with you, completely. So
got Luke Lawson at the plate now. Will Brick, the highest-ranked player that you guys brought, the 3rd-ranked player in the state out of Christian Brothers, catchers, got that pop times down to a ridiculous 171 with an 83 catcher velo. The catcher at this event always has to handle a little bit more than everybody else because, as you know, the pitchers all want to go out there and run up that radar gun. What's your message to a catcher in this environment?
Well, the good thing is we've been trying to get them comfortable with the pitchers because a lot of these kids, it's their first time kind of being all together, first time catching a specific pitcher on the mound as well. So we have a guy down there in the bullpen really kind of getting them comfortable together, and then we're also just letting them call their own games. And a lot of these catchers are here for a reason because they've caught velo before. They've caught in big games with good pitchers on the mound. So in that front, it shouldn't be anything new for them. And a lot of these guys have caught really good pitchers on the travel ball teams as it is. So we took 4 catchers this year, really talented all around. Will's, I think in the running for one of the best defensive catchers in the country, to be honest with you. We've actually been playing him at third as shortstop this week, too, just to kind of show off the athleticism that he comes with. But really quick arm action, strong arm, moves really well, and also hit a home run yesterday. So he's been fun to watch.
You obviously have your ranked guys that are coming into this event. Everybody kind of circles those guys as the ones to watch. But who are you kind of looking towards, maybe a little off the radar guys that you were wondering how are they going to handle this, and our coach is going to be talking about them when it's over with?
I think one of the guys right here in the box is Marcus Lowry.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever played in this kind of event with this amount of eyes kind of watching him specifically in the box, and he's been nothing but amazing. I think he's had 8 plate appearances up to this point. He's walked 6 times. And he's also stolen 7 bases this week. So he's one of those kids that's a really quick runner. I think we had him at 6'4", 6'4", in that range earlier this week. But he's got some juice in the barrel. Hit a few home runs this past spring, so really twitchy. He was under the radar, though, but I think this has been a huge week for him. Another kid is Mason Shelton that will be going to Farragut High School this week, state champions. He's a kid that's, I think, he's had to hit every single game this week, so I think maybe 2 today already. Taking really good at-bats, even on line-outs. Even the outs he's had has been a few line-outs in that regard. So another kid I think's been under the radar that really is going to get a lot of traction after this week.
We were talking right before you came in that there's, you think about like baseball movies, baseball TV shows. There's been a lot of stuff around like pro sports. There's been a lot of stuff around high school sports. There's never really been a really good college baseball movie or TV series.
There really hasn't. They need to get Tony Vitello on that, don't
you
think?
You might you could do the really good drama, like, or a really good like comedy or kind of Netflix series or put around college baseball.
I think Netflix came out with a series with college football this past fall. I think it's coming out this August. I think there was about 4 SEC schools that took part in that, a few maybe Big Ten.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of a series with following the I think preseason camp. Some of the weeks of the season.
Yeah, kind of like the quarterback show that they do. But I guess I was thinking more like just like fictional baseball
really
around the college,
that'd
baseball.
Be really cool. I mean, it's a growing brand. It's a popular sport right now. The amount of eyes and I think just attention that's getting put into college baseball now it's continuing to climb, but it wasn't like this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these college coaches are, famous in their states and famous around the country. And so a lot of these, obviously baseball world is kind of a smaller world in its own niche, but a lot of these coaches are very famous now why isn't that a thing yet? Where they have like a documentary, or not even a documentary, but like even on your point, where just a show just kind of implementing that kind of
the college baseball experience.
Of course,
you should get involved in that, right? Like you could be the co-screenwriter on it. You probably got some stories.
Of course,
you got some stuff that's unrepeatable on air. TV MA thing up in the top corner of the screen.
That is. When you get a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds,
See, it would be off the rails as opposed to like the pro stuff or the high school stuff, because supposed to the high school stuff, there's some stuff legally these guys can do that the
college
like,
and all that. A little different.
Yeah.
100%.
It'd be like more like an amped up Varsity Blues, I think, with baseball behind it.
Great show, by the way.
All right, who we got on the mound for you guys now?
I think this is Cruz
Jones.
I want to say.
All right, he's going to get a shot, by the way, and Grayson's going to laugh if he's back there and hears this. This is the guy that I've become infatuated with this guy that's stepping to the plate right now for Florida. This is Tavis Honeycutt, who Tavis is listed at 6'4", 281 pounds.
Huge.
He's got a triple-digit exit velos, bat speed of 89 miles an hour.
That's insane.
Yeah,
you don't see that very often.
No, I feel like if I was like making somebody in MLB The Show, it would probably, if I'm trying to put together a big body with some power, it might look a little bit like this. See what he's got here for Cruz Jones out of Grace Christian Academy. Got Cruz with a fastball on 89.
Or I've seen this streamer that does the complete opposite, has like the smallest, like almost like a stick figure possible in the show he plays with.
Yeah.
He just hits home runs.
That's right.
He's like literally maybe 100 pounds. His player is.
Well, he jumps on that 100.4 off the bat of Tavis Honeycutt. That one's going all the way to the walls. You're going to have extra bases, making it into second base. Tavis Honeycutt putting the base pass on fire. Got himself a double here in the 7th.
Even the pitcher they brought out earlier, I don't know the name, but he was a well-built kid as well.
You guys obviously getting a chance to play against some other really talent-rich states. I feel like Indiana and Tennessee are becoming like that next wave. Like if you're looking at, everyone talks about California, Georgia, Florida. Those are in Texas. Those are the next states. I think the ones that are they're really making reputations.
And I could be biased in this regard because I'm from the state, but I've always thought there's been a lot of kind of like it's been a gold mine, kind of a secret gold mine of talent that's coming out of the state. And just looking back on my high school class, I think when it was all said and done, there were 6 first-round picks out of the state of Tennessee in the 2013 high school class. So I've always kind of held that belief, and I think it's kind of getting a lot more traction. And then you look at the college landscape where 2 of the better most recognizable programs are in the state of Tennessee as well. And so I think that influx of kids are moving to Tennessee in droves. Kids see the brands that are kind of out there at the collegiate level, and also the surrounding area of the South. It's the best baseball, I think, in the country when it comes to the college landscapes, the traction, the engagement, and all that sense. Where I think kids want to play baseball in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, it's funny talking how many kids I've talked to, and saying, hey, you don't have to tell me the schools that are on your short list, but give me a sense what are you thinking? If you're from the Midwest, are you trying to stay up there Northeast? And they're like, I want to come down here. Everyone wants to come down here.
Well, you've seen the kind of pipeline from California to the SEC,
or
the kind of southern states. It's been insane over the last couple of years, where you're getting a lot of these SoCal kids, a lot of these West Coast kids that are entertaining coming across the country and going to college to play baseball because they see just how much. I think the fandom that comes with it, the exposure, the facilities, obviously. There's a lot of things that make it kind of what it is, kind of what's become to this day, where it's a really growing brand.
When you were playing for Tennessee, did you have a sense this was coming? Did you guys kind of get the sense hey, this is people are coming out to watch this? This isn't because you go back a generation before, college baseball teams struggled to put people in seats, and now we're talking about sellouts, and it's tough to get tickets, and it's become rock star stuff.
Well, I think the regional at Vanderbilt was $200 for a ticket just to walk in. Or maybe even a standing room in the regional this past spring, where, I think a lot of that comes off of football. I mean, football is king in the South, and you have these 100,000 capacity stadiums that fill up pretty routinely. And so I think if you can kind of make that product into baseball, and you look at basketball now at that landscape where it's you're selling at 15,000, 20,000 people for games all the time, and why not baseball? And I think you kind of seen that shift over the last few years where you're getting a lot more student engagement, a lot more recognition on the TV, maybe a college baseball game here at some point again. Who knows, where I think there's just a lot more kind of eyes on the game itself where, you're going to games and you're seeing, 5,000, 6,000 routinely now at the collegiate level in certain schools, certain areas. So, I think you could always see that coming. And, there were schools we go play at Mississippi State where it was just packed to the brim and, people out there grilling. But that was kind of, few and farther between. But now it's kind of consistently across the board, to be honest with you.
I haven't talked to you since the MLB draft. Tell me what were your feelings on the Volunteer State and how things netted out?
It was awesome. I kind of predicted that we'd have maybe 2 or 3 kids. We had Ryan Mitchell go second round, we had Josh Owens go third round, and then Connor Hamilton was a pitcher that was picked out in I think the 13th round, I want to say. And so I kind of penciled it as those 3 guys would be the ones that I could see pretty realistically being a real thing, and then signing. Connor's actually going to Vanderbilt, but the first 2 guys ended up signing and already starting their pro career. So I think this next year's class, so the 26 class, is going to have a lot more kids drafted. I really, really do. And a lot of those kids were on our Future Games team last year. But I could see realistically 5 or 6 of those kids getting drafted out of high school next year. And so I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these. Look at Georgia. I don't know how many kids they had, but maybe it was 55 I saw. This MLB graphic at one point, and that includes collegiate kids as well. But I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these kids getting drafted higher and higher in high school.
Do you think the MLB draft is broken? And I say that from the end of in April we had Jack Bauer here, and he throws 102. Obviously, Jack's, talking to Jack's parents, they were told, coming out of that by advisors, look, you better have a number, and you better be willing to stick with that number and not budge from that number. And Jack ends up going undrafted. Now he's going to be at Mississippi State. But in any other world, if you were to create real set numbers as opposed to slot value,
of course,
Jack's not making it out of the first round.
Not at all. It's very interesting, and you even look at the first overall pick. I think
Eli Willits.
There was a deal in place where he signed for $2 million under slot. And that allows them to sign more players, whether that's free agency or in the later rounds, where they can give him higher bonus money. because they're also working with a set number of bonus
Exactly.
money. I think with the draft, it's very interesting because what other sport do you not take the best talent usually, or the top talent signs right away, or you don't really necessarily draft in the order of basically talent sometimes.
Exactly.
A lot of the times it's whether cutting deals, just kind of save from that bonus money to get later kids in the draft where you either go quantity or quality kind of a thing.
I just wish it wasn't like that,
No, it's very interesting, and I think it's also like way too late in the year. I think it's harder with. I'd like to have it when they had it was like 1st of June 2 years ago. Now it's kind of like middle point of July.
Well, they're trying to make it this thing around the All-Star game and make it like the
100%.
kind of the pomp and circumstance. But yeah, you used to be immediately after the College World Series. I mean, guys were 100%. Going right into minor league systems.
And I think now it's kind of crushed, summer leagues in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Where, I was fortunate enough to play in Cape Cod for a couple summers, and I appreciated that whole experience for what it was. And you were with the host family with your teammates for 2.5 months, and trying to win games, and you're trying to kind of be part of that experience of being up there. And
did you watch Summer Catch before you went there?
Oh, yeah. I actually watched it as a kid, and then it's funny, my first summer, I was up there for 2 summers. My first week, I actually watched Summer Catch.
Yeah.
Kind of just put my mind in the whole kind of
Is that how it is?
experience. Yeah, it's very similar to that where.
So Jessica Biel's really out running around?
I didn't see her. I've seen a few famous people up there, to be honest with you. But I would say it's different. It's changed a lot where kids are going up there now, and some of them are uncommitted. They're in the transfer portal, kind of getting seen by other colleges, and they're there for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and whether that's either to get signed by a pro team as well. So it's changed that whole kind of front of the experience of that league, which was a very prestigious league, and that was like a pipeline to kind of the upper echelon of the draft in a lot of ways.
Going back to the draft, I just really wish like teams could, and this is going to be like a huge like collective bargaining agreement conversation, but that they could trade picks, to trade, like, could you imagine like how different the deadline would be
100%.
if you could move, picks ahead of the deadline and be able to, I don't know. I just feel like it would completely change the sport. And in fact, I think that so many guys are making it to the majors faster now 100%. Than they were 10 years ago. I think there would be a lot more of an openness to trade picks ahead of the draft.
Well, I think the thing with that, playing devil's advocate, would be from their point of view is the bonus. Would the bonus money change, or?
Well, I think you'd have to have set number. It'd have to be like the NFL and the NBA, where it's like, okay, this is what the number 1 pick makes. This is what. Yes. Yeah. There's no negotiating. This is what the pick is.
100%.
And I think if you did that, then you'd have an actual value based on each pick, and teams could freely move those picks and can make it a lot more interesting.
And I think what makes baseball different in that regard is, there's no high school draft for NFL or for NBA.
Yeah.
And so baseball kind of has that uniqueness of the sport where you're drafting a lot of high school kids.
Well, should they change that?
Yeah, like what do you do with that? Send those kids to college now, like where. And you're seeing a lot of college kids drafted a lot higher and a lot more frequently than I think years ago you drafted a lot more high school kids.
Yeah.
But the collegiate level has gotten so good at developing these kids as well, where a lot of times they're even sometimes ahead of even pro teams in some regards with the development or nutrition for like the minor league system. I'm saying with that, so I think it'd be great for the sport to kind of push. You want kids to go to college, develop, and then. Maybe you're in the minor, because a lot of these kids now, they're going to college, and the really good ones that are drafted high, they're coming out and they're starting in AA.
Yeah.
And they're in the big leagues within, sometimes a year.
Yep.
Look at, was it Cuts last night?
Yeah. Kuntz, yeah.
Kuntz had 4 home runs last night. And
Caglione and Skeens, and they're all in the way. But, Kuntz had an unbelievable 6 for 6 last night. Yeah, that was crazy.
But he's a rookie, he got drafted last year. So it's like a lot of these guys now are a lot more physically ready, a lot more mentally ready. Because I think it goes back to the college atmosphere of playing in big crowds with pressure, playing in front of fans, on the TV. I think all that's coming together with the development and nutrition with the strength programs that these schools have now, and how much kind of money they're being kind of resourced with that. So, especially now with kids being able to get paid with NIL.
Exactly. I mean, you'd be better off in some cases just going to college 100%. As opposed to going into the low minors.
And I think the counter argument to that is some of these kids, they're really, really talented, but when you go to the college level, there's guys that are older than you, there's guys that have that experience where you're kind of in win now mode. You kind of can't take as much development because you can, but at the end of the day, you don't have the system of going to A-ball, AA, AAA to kind of get years of experience, kind of honing your skills, to where you go to the college landscape and you're playing in front of 10,000 fans trying to make an Omaha run. It's like you got to be ready to go now.
Yeah.
So. It's different in that way where a lot of these kids sometimes are better suited to go to the pro route because they need more development. They have obviously talent that speaks, to that kind of side of game. So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if there's a perfect answer, a perfect world for how do you even make it better or worse in that way. I mean, we just have the uniqueness of having a draft that takes high school kids and other sports.
Exactly.
What
was the longest bus ride you ever went on?
14 hours. It was in the Texas League.
Jeez.
Yeah, we went all the way up to Arkansas to play the St. Louis affiliate. We were in Corpus Christi, Texas, in AA. So it was a 14-hour drive back, and I can't think of the pitcher's name at the time, but we had a red-eye drive back to Corpus, playing the next day, and our pitcher was like, "Hey, I'm not driving 14 hours back on the bus and pitching at 4 o'clock the next day." It was like, "Give me a flight."
Yeah.
So I remember that story pretty well. So they ended up getting a flight because they were going to initially have him ride back with everyone. He was like, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
So.
And think about trying to convince some of these kids that can get a couple mil in NIL going to college to play at a ACC or SEC school if they got to go on a 14-hour bus ride.
It's different because you're flying charter most of the time in college,
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a step down in kind of the resources or the the locker room or anything of that regard. But I think baseball's done a good job of kind of cutting the rounds down, cutting the teams down, cutting the players down. Because I think when I was playing, I think every org had around 200 players from top to bottom. And I think it's maybe 125 now, kind of cap or in that range for each organization, which I think needed to happen because you didn't need all these teams or all these kind of just inning fillers or inning eaters. When I think it's like get the best players you can and let them all try to show themselves why they deserve to be up there.
I've asked this to all the state directors that I've had in here, and I did in fact put Sean Duncan on the spot with this a little bit. But have we reached the point where each state should have its own senior future games team? Could you
Yes,
easily put together that team?
100%.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of really good players I had to turn away this year. And, I was talking to some other state directors too, just how competitive that senior future games was.
Yeah.
And just how much exposure, how much college coaches were out here watching, engaging. I mean, I've already had 2 commits from that team. Wow. Oregon State, Maryland.
That's awesome. And it's not like, I think what I will say, and I don't mean to say this as a detriment to those, NAIA, D2, D3 JUCO schools. When the senior future games was first conceived, I think that was the idea.
Of course.
And then you're seeing all these guys now, Power Fours.
There's a lot of Power Fours down there. 100%. I've seen a lot of SEC schools, ACC schools down and watching our games, other games down there earlier this week. And I think every kid I pretty much had on my team this year is a D1 kid, to 100%.
It's insane.
And that's just kind of the log jam with the portal. You're taking,
sure.
Selective kids now, and I think it's making mid-majors and all those other programs that much more talented because you're getting kids that normally you would never get years ago.
Yeah.
So I think this event is going to keep getting better and better, and the Senior Future Games was awesome. I mean, our first game, I think we were playing, I want to say Heartland. It was Heartland, so I think that was Illinois, Wisconsin. They brought out a lefty throwing 90-92 for the 3,000 RPM banger.
Wow.
And it's like, how's this kid not committed?
Yeah.
And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of those kids that maybe for whatever reason they don't travel or they don't play in the South or they're coming down here and getting seen by these southern schools that kind of stay down here primarily for recruiting purposes. That just under the radar that are really like very talented in their own right, that they just need this opportunity to kind of show that and get seen by them.
But it's like unless you start the event even earlier in the week, I don't know how you can conceivably do that. You probably have to start it on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see why we can't start Monday, right?
Yeah.
I think we all love this event from everyone I've talked to, and it's my favorite week of the year. And you get to actually be around the kids a lot more, you get to know them a lot more, see their personalities.
You just crammed so much of it in. They started on Tuesday. They played their first games on Tuesday, played 2 more on Wednesday, and they were gone. Mm-hmm. To even get them more overlap.
So I think maybe Monday is a check-in day showcase.
Yeah.
And then you go Tuesday and play a few Wednesday, or even 2 Tuesday, 2 Wednesday.
I'm sure you've had these same conversations with parents of future gamers from last year, guys who thought they were going to get commits and they're still hanging out there. It's a reality, and I think it's become a bit much bigger need than I think anybody anticipated when the senior future games was first brought up.
Well, I think I'm biased with Tennessee, and we're so close to Lake Point that it's a little bit easier for me to field a team because we're not having to fly across the country or drive 8 hours. But I 100%, I know with David Sharp in Alabama, we 100% both could field a very talented team. that you're able to get some of those NAIA D2 kids on that too. But I think a lot of those kids are still D1 talents or in mid-majors and maybe not the Power 4 so much, even though you'll still get that. But I still think you're going to help a lot more kids out that have the opportunity to kind of get seen in this environment where I don't see what's stopping us from making every team have a state next year.
Yeah.
So I think we all want to because I think we can.
I think it's going to be a real conversation amongst you guys going
Yeah.
into the winter. And when
100%.
you have your organizational meetings this fall, that this is going to be this is the future for these guys, and taking advantage of that. Those kids, the opportunity you provide for them, it's there and it's real.
And I think that helps us with our events in that regard because we had a hard cap at 13 players for split between me and Alabama with the 25-man roster. And so I think you're able to get a lot more kids that know this is a realistic shot. 'Cause I had to turn a lot of kids away. And kids that were very much deserving to be here, 100%. And so I think that you're able to get a lot more of the opportunity out. I think it's so good for us internally in our states and allows just more exposure for those kids that, we're still right there that maybe just only had 2 infield spots or 2 outfield spots.
How you feeling about next weekend with the super
I'm
sophomore
excited.
games?
I'm very excited. We're actually fortunate to have, I think, pretty much all of our top 40 players down here.
Wow.
In that 28 class. So I think a lot of these kids, I'm kind of marketing it as like, it's kind of going to be in a sense an academy of the JFGs, having those guys come back next year for the super sophomore games and like, hey, like this is the real deal now. You're coming to the future games. So I'm kind of making that known for our state where the future games our JFG guys have been at every one of our future games. So they know, hey, this is where I want to be in 2 years.
That's cool. That's great.
So kind of make it feel like, hey, we're one big kind of all units with this together. It's where you guys are here now, and then you guys are going to come to sophomore games, and then you guys are going to come to the future games. So we have 3 years of kind of being able to be around you in these environments, and obviously watching you in the spring and summer and the fall parts of the season, but you're really getting to know these kids on a very personal level and kind of see their development for 3 straight years.
And that's really important because it's amazing to me how many kids I've talked to this week who were part of the junior feature games team that would be like, I went over and watched those guys, and I was like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to make it there. Yeah.
And that's why I try to tell them is like, go look who's watching these kids. Go envision yourself being in that position and, performing in front of all these coaches and all these eyes. And because that's where you want to be. This is the best event in the country. I'm talking to scouts and the coaches around the complex this week is everyone wants to be here because it's the best event again now with these kids not being committed anymore.
Yeah, it's huge.
You're gonna get the best talent in the entire country here every single year.
Got Liam Daughtry on the mound for you for this last inning between Florida and Tennessee. Florida leading 6-2 in this one. Texas South with a 6-5 lead over Texas North. Wisconsin just putting it to Illinois. Vinny Rotino's got to be really happy because his guys have looked fantastic. I don't know how much you've caught of Wisconsin in action, but they have just been really impressive over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I tried to get down to watch them yesterday a little bit, and I was impressed. And I think the kid I told you that the lefty that was on the senior future games team's a Wisconsin kid, and there's a lot of talent up there. And for whatever reason, but it's like those kids kind of stay in Grand Park. They stay in those areas around there, lumber yards maybe, where they're not coming down to Lake Point that often. Where I think this getting those northern kids that could get seen by these southern schools that, a lot of them I think want to come down in the South and play.
Yep. Yeah, again, it's funny to me how many of them ACC, SEC. The short list isn't necessarily a particular school. It's get me down there and get me out of this
100%.
weather.
And we're fortunate that we have probably 2 of those top schools in our state.
Yep. I want a 104.6 off the bat for a base hit there for Florida.
Florida's good. Florida's really good. Even defensively, they made incredible plays today. That kind of costed us to kind of break an inning open, to be honest with you. And I think that last year, like looking back at the team Florida had last year, was really, really talented.
Yeah, Florida and Georgia coming together, making that Southeast team. I think both of those states directors, and I'm sure all you guys feel like you could have a second team.
100%. And I want a second JFG team, to be honest with you, because there was a lot of kids that I couldn't take down here that I'm like, you're just as talented as a lot of these kids are, and this kid was chosen for this whatever reason, but, you only have a certain number of spots that you can kind of distribute out.
Yeah, I feel like in some ways the senior feature games has probably made it easier because you have more guys, but then the whole thing has just been more complicated because you got to have a cutoff point at some point.
100%, yeah, 100%. And you're going to be the bad guy, and you're going to be the good guy, and you kind of understand that. From our perspective is I'm going to be able to help someone's opportunity and dream, and in the same complex of that, you're also going to hurt someone's, kind of chance with this opportunity too that probably deserves to be here as well. So I think next year, I think there's a lot of states that probably will be on board for taking a full team for the Senior Future Games, and I think it's warranted with the talent that I think we could bring down here.
All right, well, when everyone leaves today, we're gonna have a petition that everyone's gonna sign.
Right.
We're gonna get everybody their own Senior Future Games team going in next year. Here's Hunter Martin. Hunter, I'm gonna have to take a break here in studio, man. Thank you so much. Great stuff. We'll be back with more from our Future Games watch party.
Hot summer days call for cool adventures in Cartersville Museum City. Beat the heat indoors with jaw-dropping exhibits at Tellus Science Museum and the Savoy Automobile Museum. Hit the water at Terminus Wake Park, kayak the Etowah River, or head to Lake Allatoona for fishing, boating, and unbeatable lake days. When the sun sets, head downtown for live music, delicious eats, and local flavors. From family fun to date nights, summer memories start here. Plan your trip today at CartersvilleMuseumCity.com.
Now joined here in studio by Lawton Little, the #1 player in Louisiana in the class of 2027. Lawton, man, thanks so much for dropping by. I appreciate this.
Thanks for having me.
So you've wrapped up Future Games now. You were here a couple years ago for the juniors. Tell me about the anticipation of this and now kind of taking that step back and taking it all in.
Well, you know, in the Junior Future Games, I came here. I knew there was going to be people like watching and stuff, but getting here for the normal Future Games, it's like seeing all the scouts and like it's crazy. But it's glad to see like that the hard work you put in get you here, you know, and glad to be here.
But you guys aren't unfamiliar at Barba with a lot of scouts being there, so you kind of understand that side of it. So it wasn't like it was like you weren't shell shocked coming.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah.
Tell me when you got on the mound, what you were able to do that you wanted to accomplish in this one. Did it meet your expectations and the impression that you hope you left with the coaches with?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to go out there and show them what I can do, what all the hard work I've done, and I'm glad to see that paid off.
So let's talk about the stuff a little bit. 89.9 fastball, you actually hit that this week. You got that nasty curveball over almost 2,500 spin along with that changeup in the slider. What's the best pitch, and which one do you think like has the most room for growth?
My best pitch is definitely my curveball. It's. I think I can put anybody away with it whenever I throw it, and I just want to get my fastball up, velo up, and I think that change up too.
So 6'2", 165 is actually I want to have you take us through your grips here in a minute. But is the path to get that velo up? Is it weight? Is it the distribution of that weight?
Absolutely. Yep.
So what's you're eating anything and everything this fall and winter? Then let's bulk up.
Obviously not like junk food.
Yeah.
Obviously meal prepping, but yeah, anything I can do.
Okay, I want to see your pitch grip. So take this from me and let's just go right into the camera there. Show us what you're working with.
This is my four seam. Just rip it. Curveball, I like to just take it like that, just pretty normal, and just rip it. And then my changeup, I throw a circle change, but I spike the middle finger like that. And,
if you're comfortable with the spike, have you played around with the spike and the curveball?
Yeah, I have. I haven't really noticed much difference with the curveball, so I just keep it the same, simple. But the spiking the changeup definitely helps.
You got one more pitch, right?
Yes, sir. I have a slider, which it's the same as my curveball, but I'm kind of just not flicking it. I'm kind of just throwing it.
That's good stuff. I saw the custom glove, by the way, that Good Hop glove. Mm-hmm. What does it say on the side of it?
It says kill.
What? Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, whenever I'm in a game and I'm facing somebody, it's like it's me versus them, you know. It's my dreams versus their dreams, and you know.
All right, that's intense, man.
Some would say, but
I love talking to guys that come from powerhouse schools about like this iron sharpens iron mentality, and I know you guys have absolutely got to have that. Tell me a little bit about when you're inside that program at Barb, like what is that like to try to you talk about it's me versus you. That's kind of the daily for you guys.
Yeah, I love that quote, that Bible verse. It's actually in our locker room. And it's the most important thing, I think, when it comes to a team sport like this, having like a good bond with your teammates and being able to trust them.
You're obviously two-way guy, outfielder, left-handed pitcher, #1 player in your state. Who are those guys that you've gravitated towards when you're modeling your game and maybe little pieces that you pick up along the way as you try to build the repertoire of who you are?
Well, first off, I think one of my favorite pitchers is Liam Doyle. I love his intensity. I love just the way he plays the game, how he pitches, and yeah.
All right, that's great. All right, Lawton, we get to do my favorite thing now, which is play a little random questions. Let's roll in the intro. All right, Lawton, the way this is going to work is producer Jack's going to give us 3 numbers, 1 through 100, and those will correspond with the questions that were created by ChatGPT, and we're going to put you on the spot with these ones. Jack, what's his numbers?
45.
Okay.
47.
Wow.
49.
Wow, he's staying in the zone here. All right, number 45. What animal best represents your playing style?
I'd like to say a cheetah.
A cheetah?
Yep.
All right, that's a good one. Because what are you running in the 60?
6'9".
Okay, yeah, that lines up. Number 47. If your sport had an extreme mode, what would it look like? Like if you, it's almost like you ever watch Fast and Furious and they hit like the NOS button. Like what would that look like for baseball?
I think it'd be, I don't know, because I feel like sports already kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's already kind of like in extreme mode, but I don't know. Maybe like longer, like more innings.
Okay. That would be extreme. We don't need those for the future games. We get you guys out, get everybody their opportunity to pitch, then we're moving on. All right, last one. If your celebration dance, and then we can talk about like a double celly, whatever it is, if it had a name, or maybe it does have a name, what is it? Or what would it be?
I don't know.
Do you guys have a double celly at Barb that you guys do?
Not really, but not like a designated one. But,
just whatever you're feeling?
Yeah, I guess so. Just kind of let it out. But at Barb, we did like I don't even really know what it's called, but it's like you throw it up and then you like punch it through, and when you punch, the dugout goes like boom. Everybody says boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We should call it like the knockout.
Yeah,
I like that. All right. That's what it's going to be called, the knockout. The knockout from here on out. You take that back there, and then a year from now, we're going to see it on Twitter and Instagram. It's going to be like there's the Barb knockout, and you guys are all hitting it, and we'll do like the Mike Tyson sound effects on it for the punch out game. We're going to have this ready to roll. All right, he is Lawton Littleton. Lawton, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We got a lot more Future Games watch party coming your way. Don't go anywhere. Back here in studio, Grayson, Rosen in our final pitching change of the last day of the Prep Baseball Future Games watch party. We were going through all the leaders here, trying to maybe see if we could figure out who might end up being the clubhouse leader for MVP. Obviously, still some more games to go along today, the last day of game action for the Future Games. Of course, we'll wrap everything up on Sunday with the Junior Future Games. Tristan Steger, I'm sorry, it's a little text. Tristan Steger from Illinois has 6 hits, so he's the event leader so far. But you got multiple guys who have hit multiple home runs. Looking down to the RBI category, I'm really impressed, by the way, with what Massachusetts has brought. Lucas Hodney from Massachusetts has 9 runs driven in, so he's the event leader right now. So that guy having a monster event.
Yeah, Jones Robertson from Mississippi, he's got 2 home runs and 8 RBIs.
That's a pretty good resume right there. Guy who's had a pretty good resume today is Camden Fry for Wisconsin. They're putting it to Illinois up 10-3 as that one's in the bottom of the 7th inning, so a good chance we might see Fry again in that one. That one's absolutely roped. 91.2 off the bat. Oh, he might catch the guy in front of him. There's some absolute wheels on the base pass for Wisconsin. He's going to hold at third. Man, that guy, Talbot, was absolutely flying. He's now 1 for 3 today. He's got himself an RBI triple, and that was an absolute rocket, 91.2 off the bat.
Yeah, that was incredible. He was I would love to know how long it took him to get from home to third, because that was insane.
Yeah, nearly caught the guy running in front of him, so that was pretty impressive. Now Gluting at the plate here for Illinois. Yeah, can't wait to get the metrics on that run. That was pretty wild. Been a good day of action here thus far. Been a great few days. We've had so many guests here joining us in studio across these watch parties, which are always so much fun for us to do. It's certainly a lot to bring you all this, but we are happy to do it and happy to bring you tomorrow's championship game.
It looks like on workout day, Talbot ran a 6.760.
That looked faster than 6-7.
Yeah, agreed.
Game speed. That was a little different. Wisconsin comfortably ahead, 10-4 over Illinois. Florida's got that 6-2 lead over Tennessee. We're all notched up between Texas North and Texas South.
Another run for Wisconsin. Or sorry, for Illinois.
10-5 now, fighting their way back.
I feel like if Texas ends in a tie, that would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. By the way, when Hunter Martin was in here with me, my guy Tavis Honeycutt, triple-digit double.
I saw it.
Roped one. So he came through with the big moment for me.
Yeah.
All right, we're all wrapped up now in Florida and Tennessee. Florida is 6-2 winners. What we still got out there? We still got NorCal, SoCal going on. Can we bring the completion of that one? Put that one up in the top right corner, producer Mason. We'll go with another in-action game. That's down in the bottom left corner. Still need to get that Illinois-Wisconsin game. Maybe we'll sub that in for Florida and Tennessee. There we go. Now we're all back in action. Everything's still aligned right in Wisconsin and Illinois. NorCal leading 5-4 over SoCal. That would be some good bragging rights there because, of course, SoCal, and it's so many powerhouse programs. Probably feels like it's the king of the state, maybe the king of the nation when it comes to most produced players. I feel like Texas would have something to say in that, in the Dallas area. But NorCal leading SoCal 5-4 in the 7th. Almost roped back foul. Wisconsin got that 10-5 lead over Illinois. But Illinois threatening. They got runners at first and second.
I found it interesting, just as one of those things that I do as somebody that cares maybe a little too much about sports and where people are from. Looking up like MLB players from a certain state, and then just sorting it by WAR. Because on Baseball Reference you can do so. So like, let's see, like I did this with Georgia recently. How many Hall of Famers do you think were born in the state of Georgia?
Hall of Famers born in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
I will say 12.
Too much. Way too
many.
much.
Too many. Okay.
I think it's 4. Which seems surprising.
Yeah.
It seems extremely surprising. All right.
Your computer just isn't cooperating.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the heat. I don't know what the deal is. I was going to have some fun facts, but I know one of them is Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
One of them is Frank Thomas.
Yep. I knew those two.
Yeah. Josh Gibson.
I did not know Josh Gibson was from Georgia.
Josh Gibson is from Georgia.
Another run crosses for Illinois off the bat of Wozniewski. Illinois fighting back with one down here in the 7th.
I'll have this fun fact momentarily.
All right. Carson Trevelini now at the plate out of Crystal Lake South. Crystal Lake, of course, home to Jason. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It takes
like
place
I know
in Ohio,
the character,
though.
but
Well, that takes place in Ohio, not
okay.
in Illinois. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the character. I wasn't sure of the origins. Not really a franchise I've ever found interest in.
Yeah, I'm not really much of a horror guy myself.
Yeah. Ty Cobb, another one of them.
There you go.
Johnny Mize. My computer's still just freaking out. I don't know what the deal is.
Trevelini again. Carson Lake South at the plate for Illinois. 6th-ranked shortstop in Illinois. 17th overall in the class of 27. You got to restart.
Yeah, I'm just going to restart the computer.
Trevelini, a 23 junior feature gamer, trying to continue to eat into this lead. Illinois scored 3 runs here in the 7th. Make it 10-6. Wisconsin's got 10 run on 12 hits, by the way. All notched up in that Texas game. NorCal up 5-4 over SoCal. Did you see? Did you have a most impressive player that you've seen the last few days? Has anybody really stood out?
I haven't watched, ridiculously close. It's been a lot more of just hop over somewhere and try and catch as much as I can every moment I get. But I don't even think I ever figured out the guy's name. But he's number 17 on Mississippi, I believe, was his number. It was either number 17 or number 15. Every time I've seen him, he looks fantastic when he's in the box. I saw him hit a home run, and his celebration was included in that pregame footage that I had on, I guess that was on Thursday. But, I never caught his name, and unfortunately my computer is malfunctioning at the moment.
Well, my navigation skills here on the Prep Baseball website is currently lacking, so I'll get to this as soon as I can here and give you that player's name. Just had a bomb hit in Texas. I believe that off the bat of Lubin Rincon. Now 8-6.
Should be up at the top. There we go.
All right, you were asking about Mississippi.
Yes. I believe it was number 17.
We'll get there eventually. Jones Robertson.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. We were just talking about him with those stat leaders, and that he has 2 home runs and 8 RBIs. He's definitely been the guy that I have seen show out a couple of times. So, shout out to Jones Robertson.
Isn't Rowan Atkinson's playing for Mississippi? Wasn't that Mr. Bean?
I don't know.
It is.
Yeah,
Rowan Atkinson is the same name as Mr. Bean.
Recently,
so he did. No, Mr. Bean passed away?
I could be wrong. I hate to do that, throw that at him, but who am I thinking of?
No, Mr. Bean's still alive.
Yeah, he
You're
is.
thinking of Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman passed away.
Thank you, Mason.
Yeah, Mr. Bean alive and well at age 70, living in England.
Yeah. Everybody forget I said that.
Well, this week we lost Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, so I think typically things come in 3.
From the Cosby Show?
Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned.
That's what it was.
So, there was your 3 80s
those
staples.
And it's weird that those things come in 3s.
It is.
It tends to be the...
I'm going to be honest, you probably couldn't
odd.
understand. Hulk Hogan's the one that hit me the hardest.
Yeah.
That was like the first superhero of my youth.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I was listening to this podcast, and they were saying that if you grow up with like Superman, Batman, they can eventually put another person in that suit. Like we've seen Superman recast so many times.
Yeah.
There's only one of that kind of like real life superhero. When you lose that person, it's like you lose part of your childhood.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, for me, it'll probably be athletes, where like athletes that I grew up watching. I mean, like Hank Aaron hit me pretty hard, even though I obviously didn't watch him. Just somebody that like I grew up hearing so many stories about, and
I think for kids, I think for TBS kids, I think Chipper Jones and Dale Murphy are the ones that are going to hit the hardest.
Chipper.
I think Dale will be for the older crew, and then Chipper will be the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I got about what? Chipper retired after 2013.
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a few years of Chipper while I was kind of paying attention. But I mean, Freddie was more my time frame.
Okay. I was standing in the dugout when remember the first time Freddie found it was a All-Star. He was a reserve and he won the vote and he had like the whole like hug campaign. So they were gonna tell Freddie in the dugout that he was going to be an All-Star reserve, and I was standing down in the dugout when he found out. It was just me, him, and a couple of Braves personnel, and beaming to say the least.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman's certainly not afraid to smile.
No.
I'm sure.
Top of the 8th between Wisconsin and Illinois. That's 10-6, Wisconsin in that one.
I do think it's kind of interesting, like when his career comes to an end, Do you think he's going to be remembered as a Brave or a Dodger?
I firmly believe that when Freddie retires, he will sign a one-day contract with the Braves and retire with the team.
Even if he wins like another ring in LA?
I think I think he will sign a one-day contract with the Braves and retire with them.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think some people realize like how long he spent in Atlanta.
12 years.
Yeah, I think people are forgetting that because like I always see this conversation where it's like, is Mookie Betts going to be a Dodger or a Red Sox? Is Manny Machado an Oriole or a Padres? An interesting conversation. Well, he's officially now played more games for the Padres.
Wow.
So it's like all these different things where a guy, sure, like started off a legendary career somewhere.
Yeah.
And kind of left right in the middle of it. And it happens a lot, especially in Major League Baseball.
Well, the unfortunate thing with Freeman is you're going to watch 3,000 hits. You're going to watch all the milestones.
All the big moments are going to happen there.
The milestones are going to happen in a Dodger uniform, but I think the Hall of Fame plaque. Well, maybe not the Hall of Fame plaque because I think he may feel that that's to the detriment. But I do think he retires after signing a one-day deal with the Braves.
Yeah.
But that's obviously much further down the line.
Yes.
And he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, despite the fact that he's 35?
Yeah.
Still got plenty of gas in the tank. I saw something interesting. So Bryce Harper the other day. I think I put this down in my notes the other day because I was going to bring it up and I never got the chance. Yeah, Bryce Harper became the youngest player to ever reach 350 home runs the other day, and started a conversation about how Bryce Harper is younger than Aaron Judge by like 8 months.
Wow.
And I think Bryce Harper is such an interesting case because, like, Bryce Harper has been famous since he was, like, old enough to be playing on a Junior Future Games.
Yeah.
And he was just always the guy. And I think he deserves so much more credit for actually being that guy, for actually doing that the whole way through.
And it's only, and you could go back the last, 30 years, and it's only happened twice.
Yeah.
LeBron and Bryce Harper.
Yeah. I think it's so insane that, like, Bryce Harper has just been the best player in his age, in his sport, whatever, since he was, like, 12 years old.
Well, even just meeting the hype, just, like, living up to the expectations and carrying that weight and finding your way with that pressure and living up to it and in many ways, shape, or form exceeding what people thought you might be capable of.
Like, he's 33 years old, and he has been just destined for greatness for 20 years. It's unbelievable. And, like, the comparison with him and Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper won Rookie of the Year before Judge was drafted by the Yankees.
Wow.
And was a 2-time All-Star before Judge played a minor league game. That's crazy. And Bryce Harper is still an all-star / MVP caliber player.
I haven't looked at the career projections for Bryce Harper lately, but what would they be? They probably put him at around like 6'10" home run wise.
Let's see.
Great throw across the diamond. That's going to be another out there in Wisconsin, Illinois. That one in the top of the 8th inning. We may not get our extra look at
recent thing I'm seeing is from 2024. Saying that they
if you go to Baseball Reference, it doesn't have career projections on it. I know you can do 162 projections for the year, but I thought maybe you could do them across. That might be the stat head.
It could be
function
I
that you have to pay for.
Unfortunately,
I used to be on Baseball Reference every day when I was
sure.
covering the Braves. That we would be doing all kinds of fun statistical breakdowns, trying to figure stuff out. But I think he goes north of 600 homers. Certainly, that time spent away though with that needing Tommy John surgery was not helpful.
Yeah, a couple of those
regards.
injuries have certainly slowed him down. I mean, it's kind of the same case for Mike Trout.
Yeah,
Mike Trout, I think, coming up on 300 home runs or 4-3.
Well, but to Harper's credit, he at least was willing to move to the infield, and
that's true. That's true. And Trout just now decided to move to the corner outfield.
Yeah.
Trout's coming up on 400 home runs. He's at 396. I believe he's at 999 RBIs.
Do you think he gets 500? Can the body last that long?
It doesn't feel like it can.
It's so funny. Like when he came up, people were like, "Oh, best this, that, and this since Mickey Mantle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the careers have been so similar.
Except he cannot get to the playoffs.
yeah. He just, but much like Mantle, he just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, injuries have continued to be a major piece of the story for him.
I mean, there's video evidence of me saying, like, is it time for him to retire?
Has
like,
anybody had better running mates, at least from a resume standpoint, and not been able to capitalize on them when you think of Pujols and Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the sport of baseball, it's hard to be like, oh, these two players are going to win you games because everything else is wrong.
Yeah.
Everything else that the Angels have done in this time frame has been the wrong thing to do. And, like, what's crazy, what should have bridged the gap between those two, between Pujols and Ohtani, was Anthony Rendon, which was supposed to be such an amazing pickup. And that wasn't, obviously. But it's kind of insane how Mike Trout's career has gone. It's kind of wild.
Well, we know we'll be destined in Cooperstown, but still not the highs that I think anybody anticipated in terms of the team accomplishments. Looks like we are all wrapped up between Wisconsin and Illinois. Wisconsin 10-6 winners. Excited. We're going to have the most valuable player from that one's going to stop by the studio here and going to get an interview. Might have to do that live on air here if these other two games are still going on, which is it's quite all right. We'll make that happen. Back to NorCal, SoCal at the top there. That's in the top of the eighth inning, as is Texas and Texas North, Texas South.
Well, this was another I forgot I even took these notes yesterday that I was going to bring up. The MLB, it's been like a little Twitter trend that people are like tweeting out, like, share a piece of something lore about yourself. So the MLB tweeted, share a piece of baseball lore about yourself. CJ Nitkowski quote tweeted it, said he's the only player to pick up a one-pitch win in both the MLB and in PB.
Wow.
Which is kind of insane.
CJ knows that, but
yeah. I mean, if you've got, for a guy like with the career of CJ Nitkowski, I'm not surprised he has that stat to pull out where he's just like, just so you guys know.
Yeah. Well, Nick Green loves to tell people he has a career 0.00 ERA.
Which
for,
is pretty
a couple
awesome.
Appearances.
Pretty awesome.
Top of the eighth here in NorCal, SoCal. It would have been great if both of these state games would have gone down in ties, but Texas North is taking control in that one. They've been out hit by Texas South 12-9, but up 9-6 where it matters in the scoreboard. Just misses. Count's going to be even over, full over there. Over there in that matchup in NorCal, SoCal. Well into the plate, Wendler on the mound.
Okay, so we might run into something that I'm sure has happened before, but I haven't really witnessed. If SoCal comes up in the bottom of the eighth and walks it off, do we call the game? Like, is it over?
Do we
go that way?
It will end.
Okay.
So we had Slater DeBrune, who was just drafted by the Orioles. Actually had a walk-off win for Pacific Northwest a couple years ago in this event. Ended up catching up with Slater after he hit a game-winning home run for PNW in that one.
Okay, so if SoCal does walk it off, it will be over.
Yeah.
Which will be exciting.
Yes.
Because I was like, I don't want the excitement to get taken away.
No,
because,
in the year before that, I remember that when it was just one California team, they got a walk-off victory.
Awesome.
So, yeah, walk-offs are a thing at the future games. So not just resigned to the juniors who are playing in a tournament. That is all notched up. 8th inning between NorCal and SoCal. So we got Wendler pitching right now. And that's for SoCal. I still haven't gotten 100% used to the uniforms yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wendler on the mound for SoCal out of Servite High School. It was interesting talking to Les Lukach about the makeup of these California teams and the unranked players. And he said that he really feels like there's guys that are gonna open some eyes.
Yeah.
Coming out of this event, guys that maybe they didn't have the expectations from a ranking standpoint coming into this, but firmly taking advantage of the platform that they have here at the Future Games.
Yeah, and also in such a large state, in such a state with such rich baseball talent, there's going to be guys that you can't find. There's going to be guys you haven't seen. There's going to be guys that aren't going to be ranked that are still elite level players.
And he said they had guys show up to showcases that they'd never seen before. And he said certainly when you brought this up yesterday, when you have these like mammoth programs, guys are going to get a little bit more daily attention as opposed to somebody who's at a smaller school in a smaller league, and maybe you got to go out and see them 4 or 5 times before you actually get a beat on them because the level of competition may not be what it is at these bigger schools.
Yeah, and it kind of also goes back to that like culture, especially in California, of playing at the private schools if you're at that top level.
Yep.
Not everybody's going to go and play at a private school. That's just not going to happen. So there's going to be guys playing at their small school in, Eastern California where nobody's really headed.
Yep.
And that's just going to be the case. And it's not that those guys are going to be missed, but they're certainly not going to get the same opportunities to be seen by these scouts. But if they show up to showcases like this and take those opportunities, somebody's going to get their eyes on them and somebody's going to be impressed.
So there's always a lot of leftover Future Games jerseys.
Yeah.
And there's almost like on the Sunday, there's oftentimes a grab and go where guys are trying to get their hands on one of the uniforms, maybe so for their respective states, for the state directors and stuff. Is there one that you've seen that you're like, I'd like to get my hands on that? I think the Hawaii one is
The Hawaii
great.
one's really good. I kind of like the Arkansas one, the red with the, I think it was the blue sleeves on it. I just like the pop of color. I don't mind the Georgia ones at all. I like those. They're both white with pinstripes and like peach-colored sleeves, but still an interesting look for both of those. There's a lot of really good jerseys. I like that we added some color in this year.
As we heard from Les Lukach when he was in here, Kamul Zhang is going to be the new pitcher for SoCal to close us out at Canyon High School. Fastball around 86. He's got a changeup 78 to 79, a curveball 72 to 76, and a slider 76 to 77. And he's going to be facing off to start off this inning here against, where are we at in the order? NorCal's going to Rodriguez.
Okay, I pulled up the notable alumni for Canyon High School, and I've already seen a good baseball one. Let's see if I've seen anything. Okay, well, Zach Britton.
That's a good one.
So if he's going to pitch like Zach Britton.
Nate Longshore, that's a great, like, that random dude name from college football.
Yeah, that is a really good, just a random Cal quarterback. Not seeing anything else that necessarily jumps off the page.
Yeah, I think Britton's the big one.
A member of the Black Eyed Peas, Prince Board.
I think Will.i.am is the only one that most people know.
Fergie.
But yeah. Has Fergie been ostracized from the Black Eyed Peas?
I think so.
Yeah.
I know she at least left.
She was a little too Fergalicious for the rest of them.
Potentially.
That one is put in foul territory by Rodriguez.
Down to their last out over here for Texas. Obviously, they have the lead, but still their
playing
last
for
chance.
pride at this point already. Up. Individual pride.
Why not just finish it off with a home run?
That's right.
Put a little salt in the wound. Are they giving a guy from the other team an at bat, or is he wearing the wrong?
I think they are. I think
or
they're
is the pitcher wearing?
No, I think they're both on the same team. I think that's what was my confusion looking through rosters, is like, why am I not seeing a Rodriguez listed on here? And that would be because
it's the pitcher. The pitcher is from the other team.
Okay, well, that was Evan Rodriguez from SoCal, who was facing off against Kamul Zhang, who's actually his teammate going into today. So you have a SoCal pitcher out there pitching for NorCal, taking off the guys he spent the last couple days with.
And I can only assume that Evan Rodriguez High School has some ridiculous notable alumni. Simi Valley High School has got to have.
So I got one for you. Huntington Beach. We've got Huntington Beach's Elijah Mason at the plate right now. This is the guy that Les Lukach was all over, talking about a guy he was excited to see in action. So we're at the bottom of the 8th, nearly done with this watch party action.
Double play.
All right, down to the last game as we pop there in studio.
Now it's going to be the last out. With that
all right, down to the last out. As Elijah Mason grounds into a double play, also grinds into one too.
Everybody's grinded to get here.
Yep. Saw a home run earlier in this game out of the guy who's now stepping up to the plate, and that's Jake Kim from Harvard Westlake.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, well, he already hit one bomb because Les Lukach was in here with me when Jake went yard, so we got to watch that ball take flight together, 90-plus off his bat. Harvard Westlake 2027. Chance to put a cap on this one and maybe get a little walk-off action instead of a wah-wah-wah tie. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, nobody wants a tie.
Nobody wants one for Father's Day, and no one wants to see one on the field either.
It's an awful gift.
All right, 0-2 count here to Kim. Did he go? No, that would be the worst way to end a tie. Would be off of a check swing strikeout.
Ugh. I don't even want to think about it.
We're coming to the close of our Feature Games watch party again. We will be back tomorrow for coverage of the Junior Feature Games Championship, but Kim puts that one in play, and that's called. Did he catch that? Nope. Went into left field for a base hit. So SoCal extending this game just a little bit further, trying to see if they got some magic here. Now going to go to Charlie Cummings. Charlie out of Sierra Canyon. He's got Kim at first base. We're breaking the action here. I think the Feature Game is the only time when you have photogs that are able to get in position and hold up a game. Miss high by Zhang.
You just don't want to miss that moment. Can't blame him.
Zhang's thrown 13 pitches. Last one at 85.4, nearly 2,300 spin. That one goes right down the middle. Delivers again. Swings through that. Count will be 1-1. I believe it should be 1-2, right? Didn't he get a K off that? We have our player of the game from Wisconsin, Illinois in the on-deck circle, so we're going to close out as soon as this final out and bring you that interview. Down the middle, punches at Zhang with a zinger there to end it. NorCal, SoCal ending a tie. Head back in studio as we bring you a close here to our Feature Games watch party for the day. Last day of game action for the Feature Gamers. Let's go ahead and show our broadcast schedule. Just sadly one game remaining, and that's Sunday. We just wrapped up Wisconsin, Illinois, Texas North, Texas South, NorCal, SoCal, Florida, Tennessee tomorrow. Junior Feature Games Championship at 2:30, so make sure you join us. It's going to be a lot of fun as we bring it in to this long Feature Games watch party. It's been a lot of fun to bring you this action so far, and been a ton of fun to be along with the ride for you here. We're going to wrap up today's coverage, so until tomorrow for Grayson, Rosen, Les Lukach, Alex, Armand, Hunter Martin, and producers Maddie Bullock and Mason Monroe, I'm Cory McCartney, and for now, we're signing off from Lake Point Sports.